Hey.
Hello and welcome everyone to the ISCA Thursday Super Cup Series here for the Home Depot 250 at Homestead. So definitely an interesting race we're going to have here today. Of course, this is not actually scheduled for the A Open. So a lot of these guys do not have setups here for this mile-and-a-half track, and they have actually been spending a lot of time making sure that they are ready to tackle this place. Of course, this is a 1.5-mile racetrack. These guys have 167 laps ahead of them. Let's take a look at the race facts for tonight's race. Of course, stages are 35 and 75. 4 sets of tires going to be actually down in the pits. Fuel window is 65 laps.
Yeah, hey everybody, this is Big Al. And I'm joining Brian Britt up here in the booth. Right now, we are definitely scheduled for what's going to be an exciting race. And the reason why this is going to be an exciting race is we've got the race facts up on the board, is none of these drivers had the ability to actually have a setup. So a lot of drivers actually having to hit the drawing board. A lot of teams actually out there coming in from scratch, trying to figure out how to throw a setup together in order to be competitive here tonight. As we do see that we were set for 167 laps, and I guarantee you those are going to be some different 167 laps. This Homestead Miami Speedway is a racetrack that definitely lends itself to more of a driver characteristic. It's not a track that you can just jump on and go out there and run a couple laps and it be okay. This is when you're definitely going to have to spend some time working on, Brian, and perfecting your craft, perfecting your craft to get it correct.
Do apologize, Big Al. I appreciate you picking up a little bit of slack there. Having a little bit of some issues at home right now, but I am back and ready to. What's that?
Got a new word for you.
What's that new word?
The word is perfect.
Oh, Lord.
I said these guys are out here trying to perfect their racing skills.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I'm glad I'm back. But yeah, qualifying, of course, is still ongoing. We have about 50 seconds left here. As I said, we have 167 laps here tonight on the docket here at Homestead. As I mentioned, a lot of these guys do not have the setup, and yeah, I guess the word you used is, I would say that definitely encapsulates everything here for sure that these guys are going to have to deal with.
It's the perfect word. I mean,
oh, yeah, because we're getting taken off the air here tonight, ladies and gentlemen.
No, it's all good. It's fucked. It's F-U-C-T. It's the perfect word. These guys didn't get the benefit of actually having a lot of laps, being able to run in the officials, running in the NIS. They've only been able to run as groups, Brian, and that's going to I do believe that's going to have an impact here tonight, especially with the size of field that we got.
Yeah, a big field and some new drivers as well, but it looks like qualifying is wrapping up. Let's go ahead and take a step away and play our national anthem. We'll be right back.
Race fans, it is time for those most famous words in motorsports.
Driver, start your engine!
We decided decided it's time to put a different kind of power tool in your hands. Store Mode in the Home Depot app gives you in-store tools made to help you get more done. To guide you every step of the way and explore products quickly with the scan. That way you get the top brands at the best prices without missing a beat. It's made for doing. Download the Home Depot app and see how doers get more done.
Hey everybody, my name is Warren Maddox. I am the president of Ultimate Experience Outdoors. Our mission, we are dedicated to taking veterans, first responders, youth, and Gold Star family members on outdoor excursions across the country.
Support for our mission has many forms, from camp cooks to the great storytellers, some buddies with the band, maybe you just want to build a campfire and sit around and listen. Nothing goes unnoticed.
Camaraderie is reborn. The acceptance among the men and women that took an oath.
Whether it was decades ago or recently renewed, but never forgotten.
If you feel like you could help us, please visit our website, www.uxonation.org.
There, you can register to hunt, sign up to sponsor an event, or even donate to us so we can continue to execute our mission.
Oh my gosh, I feel comfortable, bro. We get a hug. What have you done, Jim?
We need your help to hold the line once again.
We are back, ladies and gentlemen, and we do have the grid set for this evening's action. And, of course, Patrick Gitter is going to be starting on the pole with Matt DiCiani starting in second place. Randy Mullins is going to be starting in third. New driver Steven Thompson qualified in fourth, so definitely a good start for him. Fifth place, another new driver, Charles Joplin. And, of course, regular old Josh Schaffner starts in sixth. Seventh place, Greg Carr. Brian Johnson starts in eighth. Ninth place, Brandon Pasalacqua. Kenny Powell rounds out the top 10. 11th place is Scott Naslin. Randy Belk is going to be starting in 12th.
And Greg Wojcinski starting in 13th with Frank Flores, Triple F Flores starting in 14th. Mark Sanchez sees himself in 15th beside Shane Parrish in 16th. J.C. Evans, 17th. A new driver, Richard Smith, the second, comes in 18th. 19th place shows Paula Olsen next to Kevin Zosiak. 21st place sees Alexander Carr. 22nd, Derek Jacobs. Jeffrey Ford and Ryan Strunk round out this extra large 24-car field here tonight, Brian.
Yeah, quite a nice size field. It is very inspiring, very exciting. I'm curious to see how these guys hit the ground, running here. Of course, we see Stephen, I do believe, Smith starting in fourth. I mean, that's a pretty good qualifying effort for just showing up here in the ISCA. I mean, we'll have to watch him very closely here, Big Al.
But here's the thing, though. It's one thing to come out and put down a blisteringly fast qualifying lap, but running in traffic, dirty air, other cars, and this track right here is a lot of clutching involved. So we'll have to see how that works as a pace car set to get the heck up out of the way.
Yeah, I mean, and this is a much different type of track than a lot of the other mile and a halfs we see on this schedule. And, of course, these guys not having the advantage of having a setup here as the pace car does get up out of the way, and these guys enter the Geico restart zone. Green flag is out for the first time here tonight. And the Home Depot 250. Patrick Gitter with a really good restart there. Matt DiCiani, he looks like he's going to fall right behind Gitter. And, of course, last time we were at a track, Big Al, where everybody didn't have an access to really a setup from a shop, it did seem like Michael Conti did help out those EPI guys quite a bit. You think that's the case here tonight?
Yeah, I definitely think the EPI guys as well as the G&G guys, and we'll be able to figure it out as we get to turn more laps here, just how many teams were actually able to go to the drawing board and be, successful. That's the big thing. Is the 25 car of Greg Carr finds himself slipping way back, Brian.
Yeah, he's another one that probably didn't have access to really a setup. So this is if you don't have a team, I think you're at a huge disadvantage. Like you said, the G&G guys, I think me and you have even sat in their Discord and kind of listened to them work on the car quite a bit. I'm sure the EPI guys are the same way, but the guys that don't have as many people on their teams, they're going to be lacking a little bit more here as we see Randy Mullins going way up the racetrack, sitting in that 4th place position. That's one thing about Homestead, Big Al, is it does have multiple grooves, but I think every groove does burn your tires a little bit differently.
Yeah, multiple grooves all the way around. Watching that newcomer, I believe, the 89 car of Charles Joplin. He's tucked right there in front of the old-timer, Kenny Powell. Brian Johnson gets a little loose there, Brian. That's going to be a little bit of a cause of concern because those things do echo back all the way through the field.
Yeah, one thing about those G&G guys as well, I think the EPI guys might be running on the same setup. Not quite sure, but I do know that the G&G guys all were working on vastly different setups. I mean, some guys started out with iRacing fixed setup. Some guys started out with, other setups for maybe even Kentucky or things like that.
Richmond, Kentucky. I mean, yeah, everybody was just grasping for straws trying to figure out how they could get speed and ultimately produce a race car that they felt comfortable driving off and into the corners. This is one of those tracks where you really have to be ginger about the throttle. And it seems like 1 and 2 are different than 3 and 4, but they're really just the same. They just handle different.
Yeah, I mean, this track is, I'd say, a true oval. I mean, it is shaped a lot like what you'd see as a true oval. But like you said, I think the banking is pretty much identical. But then again, I mean, there's always going to be some sort of difference. I mean, there ain't nobody that is able to perfectly lay down a track that will make it identical on both sides. So I think that is some of the cases why these guys would maybe struggle a little bit different. We do see some big moving going on here from Brendan Pasalacqua. I do believe he has just gotten by, if I'm not mistaken, the 89 of Charles Joplin and Brian Johnson.
And now Charles Joplin is going to be looking to try to get around Brian Johnson as well. Johnson now comes down to the inside. Kenny Powell pulling up onto the rear end of the 89, but the 22 car, Scott Naslund, he has found himself a little bit of a niche, and I think he's just going to be trying to run his line and get on by as the 4 car is trying to figure out exactly where he's going to be trying to get around the corners.
Yeah,
the 22 though, the 22 seems to be a lot smoother though, Brian, if you're just watching his entrances and his exits.
Randy Mullins has gone to the lead right now, and yeah, you're talking about the 22. Scott Naslund, of course, the Hyperforce driver, now is on the inside of the 87 here. He's looking really quick, and I think that even though all of his Hyperforce brethren are not in this race, he's the only one. He does have quite a bit of resources when it comes to those guys. Hyperforce known for being very good at setting up cars, so wouldn't be surprised that he has had some help in doing that, and it's definitely showing with his speed right now as he still is battling with Steven Thompson here. Thompson, of course, running a little bit higher on the racetrack. Oh, almost some contact there as Naslund gets incredibly close to that 67.
This guy's definitely not afraid to take it 3 wide, and you'll see Thompson definitely driving it close down onto the 22 of Scott Naslund. Look, there's plenty of race surface here, and these guys are definitely committed to use all of it. That's what we're seeing here tonight thus far, Brian.
Also, Josh Schaffner has worked his way up into now 2nd place, getting by Patrick Gitter. So it looks like Schaffner's got himself a pretty good piece of speed there in that race car. Of course, long run is going to be huge at a track like this. I think tire wear has always been a big factor at Homestead. So we'll have to wait and see who is going to be able to surge ahead on the longer runs. Of course, this stage will end on lap 35. So still quite a ways to go, and I think that these guys are definitely it's going to ebb and flow when it comes to how long these guys can really keep the tires on their car. What's going on, Big Al?
Yeah, Brandon Pasalacqua there giving a little bit of a buddy push there to Matt DeCiani, just a little bit to say, hey, come on. And it's almost like these guys are bump drafting just a little bit, just trying to get every advantage that they can going down the straightaways, Brian, because when they come into the turns, it's a completely different story. The one thing, though, that I like to say, I will compliment them on the 3 wide racing and the fact that this pack is still, for the most part, very, very tight together.
Yeah, very clean as well. Surprised. I mean, these guys are all over the place, kind of really close together here. And a lot of times at a track like this, especially with it being such a track where you have to, a lot of these guys have different lifting points. And a lot of times that can cause problems. So I'm surprised these guys have been able to keep it together and not really wreck each other, especially with the newer guys, the newer additions to this field. I mean, to this series itself. A lot of times they have a problem kind of adapting to the newer drivers. They don't know each other very well. But, of course, ISCA is one of the cleanest series out there.
And that's the key. As long as you can kind of drive it, keep it straight. Because remember, you're always, hey, come on to the ISCA. Well, you just can't get into the ISCA. I mean, this is kind of like it's really the upper tier. All of these guys have tremendous I ratings, and this is generally the cleanest racing that we call, period. So, to bring those guys in, as long as they know racecraft and they've got that kind of honed, I think they'll fit right in. And it looks like that is the case here tonight.
Yeah, it definitely looks like that for sure. Really big moving right now for the old guard, Kenny Powell. He's been driving his way very, very quickly to the front. He is now up to 8th place, and I do believe actually 7th place possibly here if he can get my Scott Naslin. So watch out for this 24, looking really good. I know he's one of those guys that really loves to get into the session and really try to work on the car as much as he can here. But here comes challenge for the lead. Josh Schaffner taking over the lead.
Yeah, Naslin definitely going to be our biggest leader here so far. And Josh Schaffner trying to get by Randy Mullins. Now, these two are going to have to figure it out. Definitely two different teams, two different strategies here tonight. Schaffner, I definitely have been in contact with him this week, so I know he's got a little trick up his sleeve, so to speak. Definitely, I think he is going to be one of the names that will be sounding off here definitely with frequency tonight, Brian.
Yeah, for sure. Schaffner.
Oh, the 22 of Naslin gets into the 67 car, actually gets it a little sideways, kicked it back straight, and green flag racing continues. That's the most excitement we've had thus far here tonight, Brian.
Yeah, I'm going to take a look back here and see exactly. We wasn't able to see that. I think he got up into the outside wall just a hair. And you see the 67 slides up as well. We'll have to see when exactly this happened. You see the 22 comes up to the inside of the 67. I think this is when this might have happened. Yep, looks like, oh, look at that. Sideways right in front of Kenny Powell, and that provokes a 3-wide scenario. Of course, what a save there for Naslin to be able to keep that underneath him.
Absolutely. He had to get a little bit sideways.
I think he's still having issues right now.
Yeah, that's that Big Al karaoke moment.
As he is, of course, falling back, I do believe, quite a ways. He just got passed by, I think, the 33 in that Skull Bandit machine. How about that? 33,
yeah,
of course, Randy Belt.
That's the Harry Gant throwback right there, the old Skull Bandits car. Definitely love to see it, though. And I think Naslin just shook himself up a little bit, Brian, so he might just be rolling back just to kind of get his legs back underneath him. Still got a long way to go, not even halfway through this stage right here. So as long as he can kind of keep it going, I think he's going to be just fine. Finds himself all the way back now, though, into 13th place. And that's not going to pay anything.
Yeah, he's definitely going to be wanting to get as many points as he can. He's being challenged right now by Mark Sanchez, of course. Sanchez has been looking really good over the last several weeks. I mean, he's definitely been one to watch. He's gotten better and better as we've watched him, and definitely impressed with his growth that we have seen. Definitely surprised also we're not seeing more of Greg Wachinski. He's back here in 14th, trying to hold off Frank Flores. Now, one thing about Frank Flores I saw in practice, Frank was one of the fastest cars in practice. So I would expect that he's going to somehow maybe find his way closer and closer to the front. Now, could that have been qualifying pace that he was trying to find there in practice, or was that race pace? That is a different question. But I definitely think Frank's got some speed here tonight. And definitely see Brian Johnson also. He seemed like he was struggling a little bit earlier in the run. I think he's starting to come into his own right now. He's up in, I do believe, 7th place right now, trying to work his way up there to Brandon Pastelacqua. Of course, Stephen Thompson, I think, has been the one that has been really, really impressive. I've been surprised to see him stay up here in the top 5 after qualifying in 4th. He seems like he's got pretty good long-run pace. But here we go. Josh Schaffner, I think, just is losing the lead here. And
this is what we...
Go ahead.
No, Randy Mullins is definitely going to challenge for Josh Schaffner, and this is what we were expecting to see. As this race continues on, these guys are definitely going to start to have to figure out the adjustments they're going to have to make. Because although you can go out and you can practice all day, there's nothing that's going to set you up for race pace, Brian, except for being in a race.
Yeah, these guys are starting to get a little physical here as we're getting ready to possibly even go 3 wide for the lead as Schaffner has defended against Randy Mullins. I don't think this is over quite yet. Of course, you see Matt DeCiani also kind of in the picture, and the more these guys battle, I think the more these guys are going to have an accordion effect, and the more I think more drivers are going to start to get caught up here. You see Stephen Thompson; he's not that far back; he's only about 7/10 back from Schaffner here. I do expect this battle is going to continue to get more and more intense as we get closer and closer to the end of this stage. Schaffner desperate to try to keep the clean air. Now, this is a track that clean air is very, very important, wouldn't you say?
I don't know. I think a lot of drivers are going to find a lot of different things to be important. If you look at the 54 Randy Mullins, I mean, he is now finding himself under attack by the 21 of Patrick Gitter. We're at that point in the race, Brian, being that we've already put down as many laps as we have, 22 laps. We're almost 10 laps to go here in the stage, and I think we're starting to see how this story is going to play out. There's a big definitive drop in the field. We got that lead pack of 10, and then it falls all the way back to the 11th place car, Scott Naslin, 2 seconds behind the car in front of him, Charles Joplin. And we know Scott Naslin, he was up here mixing it up in for the lead here earlier on.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, he's got a lot of speed, but he's fallen back quite substantially. Of course, he's in 11th, and I think, like you said, he's had quite a rebound at the moment. So we'll have to wait and see. One guy I'm looking at is the 66 of Shane Parrish. He's in 9th right now, but this guy, even Patrick Gitter has even said, Matt DeCiani have said the same thing, that this guy has better long-run potential than they do, even though they might even be running the same setup, Al, that he seems like he's able to get more out of it on the long run. So watch out for this 66. Long run's going to be important here tonight, and he might not show up that much in stage 1 or 2, but I'll tell you what, stage 3, when it's going to count, I think Shane Parrish is going to be one to beat. Eventually, this guy's going to win. He hasn't gotten it done yet, but he's going to get it eventually.
Well, there's a lot of drivers out there that are going to have to make a lot of decisions, and that decision time is really going to be coming up here at the end of the first stage. Adjustments are going to have to be made. Guys now have a little bit of operating data. They know how their car is going to work with their current setup in and out of the pack, and I think that's what's really starting to cook the meat here tonight, Brian. I think a lot of guys are just kind of they're trying to figure out how to keep that fire from torching and burning their meals.
Yeah, that's a good way to look at it for sure. They're definitely not. They don't want to keep it on the fire too long. That's for sure. As Parrish, of course, battling for this. He's in 8th right now. He was just battling with Brian Johnson a little bit, but Johnson was able to defend. And I think that maybe Kenny Powell's gonna possibly get here to battle some more. So I think a lot of these guys have very equal cars, and it's kind of surprising to think that, considering we talk about the A Open being at Sonoma this week and not at Homestead. The
54 of Randy Mullins
gets
into the 67 of Stephen Thomas. Stephen Thomas backwards on the backstretch. That's going to bring out the first caution. And I'm going to tell you, it didn't look like it was a good. It doesn't look like it's going to end well for the 67. I mean, but hopefully he will be able to get that car fixed. While you show the replay, I will check and see the stats of the damage.
Yeah, you see them battling right here. I think the 67 cleared itself there from what it looks like.
Unfortunately, for the 67, he is going to have to spend a bit of time down pit road, Brian, as he is the recipient of the repairs required flag. So, unfortunate then for him. Now it's decision time for a lot of drivers because we're right there in that window, Brian. So here's going to be the question as we're sitting here at lap 27 of 35 scheduled for stage 1. How many guys are actually going to come down? We see the 54 coming down. Now, another thing is these drivers don't actually have to take the access road. That's been a point of contention here in the past at this racetrack, but I do believe tonight they're cleared just to take the short entrance to the pit.
Yeah, I think a lot of these guys are probably going to go ahead and come down. I mean, I think 27 laps on a run. I think you come down, or I don't know. Maybe I think there's an argument to be made for both sides of that. I think that you could stay out, and possibly if another caution comes out that ends the stage, then you probably could get some stage points.
That's why I'm asking you this question, because here's the deal. You're getting ready to lay rubber at 31 laps. That's what's going to happen here, and it's going to be a 4-lap shootout in the stage. Now, that four lap shootout in the stage, it's not going to bode well for a lot of people. A lot of these guys are already struggling on burnout Goodyear. So, I mean, yeah, those were right now they got bad years on. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they definitely do. They definitely do. I mean, this is an abrasive track too. I mean, this place burns them up. I mean, just considering, I think the way these corners work at this place, a lot of times you're kind of uncomfortable with the way you have to drive it, and you have the potential to overdrive at this place. So a lot of these guys, I think, are going to definitely have to make sure that they be careful on this restart as well. If they do decide to stay out, they're going to probably have the potential of spinning tires, but. We'll have to see. I think they're coming up now on this stop here. If anybody comes down.
Well,
nope. I looks like they're staying out.
Well, they don't have to take the access road. And so I thought maybe some guys would use that maybe as a gimmick to kind of draw drivers in. But remember, though, it's a lot of laps on those tires. They're going to have to be very cautious once they do take that green flag, because otherwise I think we might just end this stage under caution, Ryan. It's going to be interesting, not the least, once this thing does go green, because we're all bunched back up together. A lot of guys' cars aren't handling well at all. And, this is just, I mean, if you're building a big old poop pie, we've got all the ingredients you need right here.
Oh, yeah, right here. You don't even need to go to the store. But
no.
I'm looking at this right now. I'm watching Mark Sanchez. He's the first driver that's on new tires. He's back in, I do believe, 18th place. Ryan Strunk also went down pit road. Kevin Zosiak went down pit road. So everybody behind these guys, they took tires. And we'll have to wait and see how that plays out. I think that they're going to be much faster than the rest of this field. But I think that these leaders, Schaffner, Patrick Gitter, Matt DeCiani, I think they're expecting possibly a caution before those guys actually get up to them. But we'll have to wait and see how this is going to work out. Pace car lights are out. We're getting ready to see exactly how this is going to unfold. Definitely excited, though. Here we go, pace car down pit road. Josh Schaffner, watch him. Does he have wheel spin? And it looks like he gets a fairly stable launch already with about a 2-car length gap back to Patrick Gitter. Of course, side by side is Matt DeCiani and Brandon Passalacqua. Passalacqua up on the top side.
Seeing a lot of guys trying to scramble for real estate, just trying to find that part of the track where the car is going to handle the best, because everybody is just going to be just nursing these things around here, Brian, because tires are worn. That's the easiest way to say it. Look at the 22 of Scott Naslund. He is up into the wall just trying to keep this thing pointed in the right direction.
Yeah, I'm really watching Mark Sanchez. Look at him. He's already made up quite a few spots. I mean, he's driving his way through this field right now. And looks much faster than everybody else. So watch out as he is now up to 14th. He restarted 18th. Has already gained 4 spots in one set of corners, Big Al. So watch out. That just shows you how, I think, valuable tires are. But, yeah, we see Scott Naslund.
Brian Johnson washing up as well. Watching this thing, we are 31 laps in. We still have 4 laps to go. A lot of drivers just barely hanging on.
Yeah, definitely. A lot of these guys are very much struggling. You see Brian Johnson, you talk about him. He is way up at the top of the track, looks like trying to just hold. These guys are, there goes Kenny Powell. He gets loose down on the back stretch. So, yeah, these guys are struggling. These guys are having a hard time right now.
And we are not out of the woods yet, as we still have at least 3 laps to go in this stage, and they are 3 wide and more back later in the field at 33 and at 29. These guys are just, look, it's happy hour in Vegas right now.
Yeah, and that's the person I was talking about too, Mark Sanchez. He's on the newest tires right now, and he is now side by side, I do believe, trying to get up to the top 10. I think he might be able to do it. With how fast he's looking right now.
Sorry, bro. I hate to keep cutting you off. It's looking more like a horse race than it is a car race.
Oh, yeah. These guys, it almost is like they're dirt tracking out here the way these guys are having problems keeping control of these race cars. I think Schaffner looks pretty good, though. I think he's got a good long-run car. But here comes Patrick Gitter. Gitter is desperate, I think, to try to get this stage win. But I think
we've seen Gitter. And Gitter is more than desperate. He's capable, and that's something that's really gotta bother Schaffner a little bit, because if there's anybody capable of actually blowing out his candle, it would be Patrick Gitter. The 24 Kenny Powell getting down on the inside of Brandon Pasalacqua. Powell making his way up into the top 5, trying to collect as many stage points as he can. 4 laps, so that means we are 2 laps to go to the end of the stage. And Brian, it's still anybody's money.
Yeah, I mean, anybody in the top 5, I think, has a shot at the stage win. I mean, Kenny Powell's been looking really, really good. I mean, they're all about within a second of each other here. As Brandon Pasalacqua gets incredibly close to the wall. But I'll tell you what, look at Mark Sanchez go. Now up into the top 10. He is caught up to Greg Wachinski, and he's going to take over 9th position here.
Wachinski really starting to fade to black, man. He is starting to go backwards. Brian Johnson also looking like he's got way more than his hands full. And as this stage is coming to the end here, as the caution flag comes out, Josh Schaffner, your stage 1 winner, Patrick Gitter getting it done in 2nd, Shane Parrish in 3rd. That's going to put Matt DeCiani in 4th, Kenny Powell 5th, Randy Mullins 6th, Brandon Pasalacqua 7th, Mark Sanchez, way to charge up, Mark in 8th. Ryan Strunk starting all the way back in 24th place, serving a suspension. He's going to find himself in 9th, and then that's going to put Brian Johnson in 10th.
Yeah, 100%. Great job to all 10 of those drivers. And you talk about Ryan Strunk. Him and Mark Sanchez are both on new tires, and that's what gave them that opportunity to get up there. But, of course, let's take a brief step away. We'll come right back. We'll be able to hopefully talk with our Stage 1 winner, Josh Schaffner. See you in a moment, ladies and gentlemen.
We decided it's time to put a different kind of power tool in your hands. Store Mode in the Home Depot app gives you in-store tools made to help you get more done. To guide you every step of the way and explore products quickly with the scan. That way you get the top brands at the best prices without missing a beat. It's made for doing. Download the Home Depot app and see how doers get more done.
And we are back, ladies and gentlemen. Of course, these guys are completing their first yellow flag stops, or some of these guys' first yellow flag stops. Of course, we'll see who wins the race off of pit road. It's going to be close. Patrick Gitter is going to win the race off of pit road. And, of course, that is going to put Josh Schaffner, I do believe, in 3rd place. Let's grab him up and talk to our Stage 1 winner, Big Al.
He's present.
How's it going, guys?
All righty. Okay. Yeah, Josh, how you doing tonight, man? Looks like you got a really fast race car there. You're able to take the lead and able to defend. I mean, what's the car feeling like? How hard is this track?
Yeah, car feels good. Track's really hot right now, so we're 128 degrees, and that's probably the biggest challenge right now is just kind of dealing with that. So, nothing major. The car's stable, but I do think if the car, or if the track cools off and as the track rubber's in, I'm hoping that I'll actually get a little bit better here. But, Gitter's really good, Matt's strong, and going to be a tough fight up here. There's a lot of fast cars out here tonight, and it's going to be a challenge.
Yeah, and another one of the challenges as well is that, this is not following the iRacing schedule right now. I mean, how much did that make this even harder?
It's a challenge. Just had to work hard. The teammates at G&G worked really hard this week, and, put in a lot of laps, so we had to build this thing from scratch. But I think we put together a really good piece for tonight.
Definitely seems like it for sure. Well, looks like you guys are going to be getting back into the groove. We wish you the best of luck, and hopefully we'll get to talk to you a little bit later here tonight. Josh, who can we give a shout-out to after your Stage 1 victory?
Yeah, I want to thank everybody at the ISCA, Kenny Powell, and Butt Kicker, you guys up in the booth, as always, for all the hard work. And I want to thank all our drivers coming out tonight. We got a great field. And I also want to thank Pioneer Seeds and Smith Farms. And, just everyone that helps make this thing go around each week.
All righty. Thanks for your time, Josh. We'll see you later.
Appreciate it, guys. Have a good race up there.
Alrighty, that was Josh Schaffner, winner of stage number 1. Definitely a great job to him. Able to win that stage there, Big Al, and it wasn't, I think, easy. I think he was being challenged by a guy like Patrick Gitter.
What part about what these guys are doing down there is easy, Brian? I mean, look, if anybody that's watching this is not had the privilege of gloving up, if you will, this is a very challenging sport, and I'll call it a sport. I'm not going to call it a game. I'm not going to call it a simulator. I'm going to call it a sport. I do believe iRacing is indeed as much of a sport as any other e-sport that's out there, and it should be classified as such because these guys are taking a beating. You know what I mean? It's the calf muscles, the focus, the intent. Even having family members give them the ability to actually be able to block off the time to practice, Brian, and hone this craft. Because most people would say, "Oh, it's just a game. You're playing a game." But I assure you, anybody that's watching this, it's as far from a game. It's an e-sport.
Yeah, no, I think it definitely is. It's definitely esports in a lot of ways. It is. There is some physicality to it. There's a lot of the mental aspect to it. This is not. I know plenty of people that are really good at Call of Duty that they didn't really practice to get that good at that game. This is a game you can't not practice at this. You have to put time in. There's no way that you avoid that. You're like, oh, he's just naturally talented. He put a lot of time in there to get that. As we see, of course, the pace car has dipped down pit road as we begin stage number 2 with the green flag, and a good start there from Patrick Gitter. A really good start there from Josh Schaffner as well. Really kind of able to take advantage of Randy Mullins. Mullins not really able to get going as quick as I think he got taken off guard there a little bit. Wouldn't you say, Big Al?
Yeah, but I'm going to take a page out of Schaffner's playbook right here, and I'm going to quote Josh Schaffner: "Gitter's good." Now Gitter's out front, and he is the one guy that usually can play the potter. Well, he can get the animals to come. You know what I mean? And once he's out front, he just seems to be a born leader. When this guy's in the back, we just notice him as a driver. When he goes to the front, like he is right now, that's when he really shows us just how truly dominant he can be. Everybody right now had to scramble, make adjustments, trying to get everything the way they want it to be right now, Brian. And now we're gonna get to see who actually who made the best adjustments.
Yeah, that's for sure. I think a lot of these guys definitely were adjusting the car, and you're taking back to John Schaffner's statements as well. He talked about the heat of the racetrack. I know when we first started, I think it was like 127 degrees or something like that. So this place is very, very hot right now down here in Miami.
25.
Yeah, so that's hot. And a lot of times that causes premature tire wear. It causes the car to be a lot looser. But I'll tell you what, I've been impressed with the drive here we're seeing from the 17 of Kevin Zosiak here, a new driver here to the ISCA. He is right behind Ryan Strunk, I do believe, in 13th right now, battling with J.C. Evans. So definitely impressive to see these guys kind of hitting the ground running. Of course, Charles Joplin, he started a little bit closer to the top 10. He now is back in 15th right now. So I'm keeping my eyes on these new drivers here. Josh Schaffner, though, back to the lead possibly here as they battle side by side.
And that's got to be the battle that we're going to be watching, Brian. And like you said, this is one of those tracks, though, where I think drivers are good at it or not. I mean, there's 2 tracks that come to mind when you start this thing off, the Charlotte and Homestead. And you're going to have to be good at one or the other. And it looks like a lot of these guys have opted to be better at Homestead than Charlotte because this is a very, very tricky track to drive. Say that 3 times real fast.
It is definitely a very tricky track. I mean, this is one of the most difficult mile and a half, I think, if not the most difficult mile and a half compared to, I think what used to be the most difficult was probably the Legacy Atlanta. But, of course, now this is, I'd say, because this is a track that presents a ton of tire wear, as, of course, we see Schaffner battling side by side with Randy Mullins. And it looks like he just barely possibly gets clear, but Patrick Gitter definitely taking full advantage right now of the clean air. And as I said before, I've been very impressed with Kenny Powell. I think these guys definitely have shown a lot of speed. I think when we talk about Charlotte, the reason you were talking about Charlotte is because that was another race that was off schedule, right? Or
Well, yeah, no, but I think Charlotte is like a black dress. And what I mean when I say that is I do believe everybody has a Charlotte setup that they could kind of go to. Um, this track totally different than that, especially with all of the updates and everything that we've seen come within the sim. I think this is just proven to be very challenging for these guys. Look at the 54 Randy Mullins now. We saw him charge all the way up to the front, challenge the lead, not only in stage 1, but also stage 2. And now watch his fall from grace as he is starting to slowly slip back. And Randy, don't take that personally, buddy. I'm rooting for you up here. I miss your dad, too.
yeah, for sure. And I definitely appreciate, I do believe It's Too Legit for following us on Twitch. Definitely appreciate that for sure. And, yeah, Randy Mullins looks like he's struggling. I mean, I keep seeing him. I know he was kind of battling side by side with Kenny Powell. He looks like he gets kind of tight, has a little bit of a push-loose condition. And look at Scott Naslin back up into it. He fell back, I do believe, like the 13th in stage 1. He's back in it. He's back up in the top 10 right now, up to 6th place.
Yeah, because he's got fresh tires. The key is going to be keeping those tires fresh, keeping the heat out of those tires, Brian, so he can continue to be up front here once we get to, say, lap 71, 72. When we were late into stage 1, we saw him. Naslin was struggling. He was having a hard time keeping that car out of the wall. And I think the same thing that plagues him plagues the 54 as well. They got to find a way. They got to find that balance. Don't run too hard too soon in the stage. You got to save. And speaking of saving,
some contact here for the lead. Sorry to interrupt you, Big Al. These guys are beating and banging for the lead right now. Schaffner and Patrick Gitter are just kind of door banging with each other. I think Gitter has been really trying to pinch Schaffner down, and I think Schaffner's having none of it. Go ahead, Big Al. I'm sorry to interrupt you there. What's going on with Al Kozlowski?
No, I just said he wasn't here tonight, but that's a pretty big deal right there, though. So we'll talk about the leaders beating and banging each other this early in the stage, and we're both going to take a note of how that's going to affect Gitter as well as Schaffner, because one thing it's going to do is going to allow the rest of the field to kind of catch up to them. So they got to be very cognizant of that, Brian. And two, you don't want to get forced to run a line that your car is not naturally wanting to run, because that's going to cause premature degradation in tire wear. So, you know, even though it's great to see side-by-side racing, it's probably more to their detriment than it is our excitement.
I'm telling you, I'm excited to see it. They have been side-by-side for the last few laps here, and it looks like they are aiming to stay that way. I think this could end up with an accident. It looks like Schaffner has finally decided to, hey, I'm just going to lay back behind Gitter, maybe even try to change lanes, see if he can get up there to where Gitter was running.
But now we got two other cars to talk about. And that's Shane Parrish, who started this thing in 16th, and Kenny Powell, who started in 10th. And those guys right now are currently being scored in 3rd and 4th. And if that doesn't tell you a little bit about the determination, I don't know what does. That's going to make them our two biggest movers thus far tonight.
Oh, yeah. I mean, Shane Parrish, I talked about him during stage 1. Of course, I knew he would be good at this kind of a track. I mean, this is a track that really, I think, rewards long-run speed. And he has that in spades. I mean, when you have a guy like Patrick Gitter that says, you know, he's better than me on long run, you pay attention to that, Big Al.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And Matt DeCiani is another guy that we talk about quite a bit. We saw Matt earlier on into this thing, and I don't think we've ever identified Matt as struggling. So I think you better watch him, because in a spade game, I mean, he's going to be the guy that's going to pull that last book out, and it's going to set you, buddy. And so I'm saying don't count Matt DeCiani out, not at all. He's definitely going to be a contender here towards the end of this thing, especially.
Oh yeah, I definitely think so. I mean, we saw DeCiani last week at Sonoma was ridiculously good there. Unfortunately, had a technical difficulty in the way of not taking or not realizing that he was going to run out of gas when he
ran out of gas.
He ran out of gas, and they tried to play it off. Like, I mean, we heard him saying it was a technical difficulty, but then I actually got a little bit of clarification after the interviews, and they were like, no, he just ran out of gas. Like, he just
I know what's wrong with it. Ain't got no gas in it.
That's right, Big Al.
That's what's wrong with it. Speaking of what's wrong with the 27 car, Derek Jacobs finds himself down on pit road. I don't think this would be a scheduled stop. 55 laps, still 20 laps to go in this stage.
And back side by side goes the leaders here.
And that's awesome because right behind him, 2x2, goes Shane Parrish and Kenny Powell as well.
Yeah, I think Parrish has gotten that pass completed. It's going to move well. Well, no, not completed yet. Kenny's like, I ain't done yet, brother. You ain't getting away.
We're doing a little formation flying out here tonight, Brian.
That's what we love to see. I tell you, he's lost a lot of spots, though, is Randy Mullins. He's now back, I do believe, on the edge of the top 10 here.
Derek Jacobs back out onto the racing surface. He's going to find himself a lap down.
Hate to see that. This is a tough track. I mean, this is a tough track for someone. Oh! Whoa!
Ooh. Josh Schaffner getting there really, really loose right there. Kenny Powell going to be coming on the outside, giving him room. Schaffner should be able to get his legs back underneath him, Brian. However, those tires, once they get that little bit of heat in them, it's definitely going to affect the handling of that car throughout the stage.
I think, yeah, both him and Patrick Gitter both went sideways all of a sudden. And I think both of those guys are going to have a little bit of premature wear. And look at that. Schaffner getting really loose off of 2. So, yeah, I think these guys are going to be struggling a little bit more as a result of that. And they've been racing each other hard. I mean, they've been racing each other like it's the last few laps of the race. Of course, Schaffner and Gitter both have a lot of respect for one another, but they are competitors. As for competitors, they're going to fight hard to get the victory.
Racing. I mean, we are racing. You'll never take the race out of this. It's always going to be the race factor. And that's what these guys have to do. They have to figure out how to craft and bring in as much speed as they can on every lap.
Yeah, 100%. These guys are definitely, you can't say they're not competitive. Even though the ISCA is one of the cleanest series out there, they're going to race. They're going to battle. They're going to fight and claw and scratch. And that's why a lot of times they rub each other's the wrong way, But, I mean, after the fact, they're going to talk about it. They're going to talk it out. But, yeah, if someone ends up getting wrecked for a win, it might end up happening that way.
I mean, it's a win. That's what we're going for. We came here for the W. But when we pulled the car off the trailer, everybody thought the same thing. Hopefully, when we put this thing back together at the end of the weekend, we will be doing this as winners. Now, there's a lot of things that come into play, and unfortunately, the driver is one of those variables. But right now, we're seeing great racing.
Oh, yeah, it's definitely been a fantastic race thus far here as we come close to 20, I do believe actually 15 laps to go here in stage number 2. Patrick Gitter, I think, has really shined as the best car in this stage. Here comes Kenny Powell to the inside of Schaffner. Going to see if he can't work his way up to second and maybe have a shot at Gitter. Still a lot of time for Gitter to maybe start struggling here. Of course, Kenny Powell not quite able to get it. It looks like, yeah, he's going to actually get that pass on Schaffner. I think Schaffner's like starting to struggle. I think you're right. I think because he went sideways, I think he's starting to struggle a little bit here. So he's probably looking forward to the end of this stage to get a fresh set of tires, maybe make an adjustment. But Powell, I'll tell you, Kenny Powell's been very impressive here tonight. And but it looks like Patrick Gitter, he's starting to pull away. He's got about a half a second lead right now on Powell. And eventually, if he pulls away, draft is not going to help anybody here. As Shane Parrish goes to the inside of Schaffner. Oh, Schaffner trying to pinch him down so he doesn't get the run. Parrish gets tight. These guys are battling so hard right now.
And that's great for us because it's lap 62 of 75 in the stage, Brian. But as this stage wears on, I'm going to tell you what, it's going to get a lot tighter for these drivers. And unfortunately for them, this track temp holding in there at 118 degrees going to make it even a little bit more challenging for those guys to navigate through these turns at this beautiful Homestead Miami track. Got to give kudos, though, to Kenny Powell, man, because right now, starting this thing in 10th, him and Shane Parrish both. Shane Parrish is starting 16th. These guys are up here, they're up front, and they're battling, and they're showing that they're going to try to be here for the long haul. Now, unfortunately, the 27 of Derek Jacobs and the 26 car of Richard Smith II are getting ready to find themselves in the midst of that lead pack action, but not in a good way. These are going to be lap down cars. Now that's going to make it a little bit more challenging because you can't just tell a lap car where to go. If he could go there, well, he wouldn't be going a lap down. So he's along for the ride, and just the train is coming. I hear it. I hear that train is coming.
Yeah, the train is definitely coming, and Derek Jacobs getting ready to go a second lap down. And, yeah, Richard Smith, the second, is probably going to end up going a lap down as well. But, yeah, you talk about Kenny Powell, how impressed you are with him. Look at the speed that he is able to carry. He is really going to catch up here to Patrick Gitter. But, yeah, Derek Jacobs is really struggling right now.
And Derek Jacobs, being a member of a smaller team, though, he's exactly the definition of the struggle bus that a lot of these guys find themselves on this week, because not having access to a setup, not having access to competitive racing, all of that stuff works, especially on a track. You got to know how your car's going to handle in traffic. You got to know how to set it up for either the long run or the short run. And now Jacobs looks like he's also got a blinking issue to boot.
Yeah, that's unfortunate for sure, and definitely starting to hold up some of these guys as well. So hopefully, a bad day getting worse for him. But look at this. Kenny Powell almost right to the back bumper of Patrick Gitter as we come to, I do believe, 9 laps to go here in stage number 2. And here comes Kenny Powell side by side. He's going to try to see if he can't win this stage. Still a long way to go here, though.
Well, somebody from G&G has got to step up, and Powell has found himself to be that guy. And so he has got to at least challenge Gitter. No matter what, they got to prove that the time that they spent working on their setup was not wasted. It wasn't in vain. These guys came here tonight to win, man. And so go get it, boys.
Oh, a little bit of a loose condition there for Powell, and that's going to cause him to lose some momentum off of turn 2 as he still is side by side with Gitter. Here comes Matt DeCiani, though, riding around the top. This is going to go 3 wide. Here comes Shane Parrish. These guys are battling really hard right now. You love to see it. It's almost like they're battling for their lives at the moment. Here comes Parrish. Oh, someone's in the wall in front of these guys. I believe that's Richard Smith.
I think he was just trying to get out of the way, Brian. Just got caught up in the moment.
He definitely got out of the way. And he has now gone a lap down. So Shane Parrish battling for second place with Kenny Powell. Powell is loose right now. I think he pushed it a little too hard, chasing that carrot on a stick. But here comes Parrish. I think Parrish wants to win this stage himself.
Yeah, but he's got to get around Gitter.
Yeah, that's going to be a tough. It's going to be a tough thing to do.
And right now, Gitter is shown that he definitely kind of won over Schaffner. Schaffner all the way back to 6th place. So even though he was competitive and challenging for the lead up front, now he's finding himself just struggling, trying to grab as many of these stage points as he can, Brian.
Yeah, I think he's just trying to hold on right now. I think that's what Josh Schaffner's trying to do. I think he learned his lesson. That don't try to battle too hard with Gitter. If you're gonna make an attempt at that pass, you got to make sure you can actually get it done, and don't waste your time there burning your equipment up. Either way, you're going to fall back possibly. He's in 6th, so he's not doing terribly, but I know he wants to win. He wants to get up there and actually have a victory, and that's just not the way to do it. Kenny Powell, he's another victim of that. Learning that lesson that, hey, I tried to battle with Patrick Gitter, and it was chase that carrot on that stick, and now he's falling back to 4th. And starting to struggle as well.
So Josh Schaffner's thinking, help me hold on. Sorry, I had to do it, man. I'm just having a Big Al karaoke race.
That's okay, Big Al. Everybody loves Big Al karaoke. Here comes Shane Parrish. He's going to see if he can't succeed where others have failed. He's going to get a good run on the exit. He gets clear. Look at that. Shane Parrish, very good. I'm telling you, this guy is a phenom when it comes to being good on the longer runs.
So the question I'm going to ask you directly is, do you think that Shane Parrish was actually able to get around Patrick Gitter due to Patrick Gitter battling Josh Schaffner so hard
and Kenny
on
Powell?
the stage?
He battled both. I think so. I think he battled both him and Kenny Powell, and that really pushed his tires to the limit. I don't think Parrish has really been battling too much of anybody here. So whenever it came time, and look at that. I mean, Gitter's having problems. Gitter is starting to have issues.
And look at who has slipped right there by him. There's Matt DeCiani. I told you, he's the guy that's got the set book in the spades game. He's the dude that's holding that one card that nobody thought about. And DeCiani is probably going to.
Oh, there goes Powell into the outside wall. Huge hit on the outside wall.
Get her down as well. He's going to have to try to lock it down. No caution. Caution is out. Caution out for just the second time tonight, not stage related. The third caution overall, but this one I think had a little bit more of an owie factor.
Oh yeah, this was a violent crash for Kenny Powell. I think that's going to be it for him tonight. We'll see exactly what happened. He was trying to get by Gitter. Gitter was struggling. I don't know who this would be on, but you see Kenny Powell's on the inside of Patrick Gitter right here. They kind of have a little bit of contact right here. They're beating and banging a little bit. Powell, I think, just got tight. It looks like Powell got tight, and unfortunately, he kind of turned himself on Patrick Gitter there. Let's take another look from a different angle.
And I believe this is going to end the stage as well, Brian. But while that's in play, I think we should talk to Kenny Powell.
Yeah, I mean, you choose who we talk to at the end of stage 2. It looks like that's going to end it. So, boom, look at that hit there. But, yeah, you can bring him up, talk to him right quick.
Hey, Kenny Powell, Big Al up in the booth. You got me?
I got you.
Hate to bring you in under such, unfortunate circumstances, but while everybody else is going through pit stops, I think we got a little bit of time here. Stage 2 is going to come to an end. What exactly took place from your perspective there on lap 74 of stage 2?
I'm looking at the replay now. It was definitely tough, hard racing. I don't think there was any ill intent on either part. I'm not sure. I don't know if I came up or if he slipped and came down, but yeah, that's going to end their day. And definitely unfortunate because I definitely think I had something.
Man, that is unfortunate. How did you feel, though, overall that G&G setup was working for you guys here tonight? Do you think that if you would have been able to keep it straight, you would have had actually a chance at winning this thing?
Actually, I do. I had a good long run. It was just a matter of how you use your tires, throughout the run. But I was there, and things went my way. I feel like I could have been there at the end of the long run.
Well, no need to really worry about it this far. Do you think you'll be able to actually get back out there tonight, or are you going to hang it up?
I don't know. I definitely hit the toe and I had pit for repairs, so I'm not even back in pit lane yet. I don't even know what the damage is, so I'll probably get back out there and run around.
Yeah, it's definitely been awesome watching you guys down there tonight, mixing it up, especially having this race where everybody had to kind of go and craft their setups from really scratch. So good, you were running really strong, man, and unfortunately you just kind of met somebody there in the middle. But unfortunately, before we let you go, man, who are you going to shout out tonight though for your effort?
Tell you what, the G&G racing team we put together, really all of us run in different sets, but we worked really well together, helping each other out, bringing something to the table. And I think all of us are happy with what we have. So it was just a great collaboration. I appreciate all my guys.
Yeah, man, we appreciate you too. Thanks for taking time to talk to us, Kenny. We understand, man, it was just a hard times for you right now, but keep your chin up. Hopefully we'll see you back out there tonight.
10-4.
Alrighty, that was Kenny Powell, driver of the 24 machine, and I agree, Big Al. I think he did have the speed to possibly win this race. He was quick. He was very fast, and hopefully the rest of the G&G guys can kind of carry the torch there for him. But right now it is an EPI 1-2-3, so I know that they're going to be desperate to try to take that away from them. Of course, I do believe, if I'm not mistaken, I think Shane Parrish actually won stage 2 2 there, if I'm not mistaken.
Hey, Brian, Richard Smith II has a black flag, but I have to figure out what that's about. I do believe he's going to have to at least do a pass through, maybe a stop and hold, but also the battle off of pit road was epic. I mean, they were beating and banging. There were 3 wide. So heads up for those 2 guys, Shane Parrish, Matt DeCioni, and Patrick Gitter. Also, Brandon Pasalacqua lost it coming off the access road and got a little bit of grass on his tires. So just a lot of exciting racing going on here for us this evening.
Yeah, there's been exciting racing going on everywhere on this racetrack. And Pasalacqua, even though with that issue of getting a little bit of grass in that car, he's still up to 4th. I mean, he definitely had a successful, I'd say, getting off of pit road there. And here we go. Pace car dipping down pit road, and here we go. Green flag is back out in the air once again. Patrick Gitter, the control car, he definitely had the best circumstances there in that accident that brought out the caution prematurely.
We're wrecking, Brian.
Oh,
we are wrecking hard. Greg Wachinski, hard down on the inside. Green flag still stays out.
How
caution
is the green flag?
Yet.
How has a caution not flown yet?
Well, this is a big racetrack, and he wasn't in the race surface when that accident occurred, but you're definitely going to have to go back and take a look at that one because that was pretty exciting.
Man, how is the green flag still out? I mean, we saw he was sideways in the middle of the track, and no caution flag flew. As we take a look back here.
And another G&G car falls to repairs.
I wonder, let's see exactly what happened here. You see, Greg, oh, what in the heck? I think he might have maybe a misshift. What in the heck?
There's tire parts and smoke everywhere. The 26 car coming down pit road now, he was involved in that. That will be Greg Carr.
How did that not cause a caution right there?
26 car Richard Smith serving his penalty now.
Look at this. All of a sudden, Greg Wachinski everything looked fine, and all of a sudden he just started slowing down and spun out. I think it had to be something to do with his transmission and gearing. Let's take a look through the cockpit camera and look at his RPM. Watching right here. Oh yeah, I think he was trying to shift and accidentally shifted down Big Al and blew the engine right in front of some other drivers. Goodness gracious!
Not the way you want to end your night. Not the way you want to affect other drivers' race. It was just an unfortunate set of circumstances. Any drivers that are out there listening to that, man, we're just going to apologize on behalf of Greg Wachinski. But green flag racing continues, Brian. I think that's the key part. Now we did see.
Why don't we talk to Greg? Let's see what he said from his perspective. What happened? I think it'd be good to see what he's got to say about it.
He's not available.
Oh man, he must have left out of frustration.
Oh, there he is. Pulled him out of a hat. Greg Wachinski, ladies and gentlemen.
Greg, how you doing tonight, man? I know whatever just happened is terrible. Can you walk us through what happened just now?
That's what happens when you shift down instead of up.
That's what I figured. We looked through the cockpit camera and we saw that your RPMs got stuck at a certain point, and then you shifted down to second gear. How did that happen? I mean, it was just a mistake, or?
Yeah, I just reached over to grab the shifter and pushed it up. Yeah, it was just an accident.
Oh my goodness! I know you have got to be kicking yourself because.
Yeah, I mean, I just feel bad because it felt like every single car on the track hit me, so I apologize.
And no caution either.
I know, that's crazy.
How did no caution come out there? That blew our minds right there.
That's strange, I know.
Yeah, well, we just wanted to touch base with you, see how you were doing. I know that was a strange one. You had a good shot up there. Seems like G&G just having some bad luck tonight. Can we give a shout out to anybody before we let you get back to it?
Well, I'll shout you guys out for even have the courage to bring me up here, knowing I just spun out in front of the whole field. So you guys up in the booth, G&G, and the ISCA.
Well, hopefully your luck turns around, brother. We'll see you later. Thank you for your time.
No problem, man.
Glad we were able to talk to him, Big Al. I mean, definitely cleared it up. I mean, I think looking through his cockpit camera cleared it up pretty much. I mean, wow. G&G's just having some bad luck.
Yeah, we are halfway through this thing, Brian. If my math serves me correctly, these drivers are going to they're going to be able to go a little bit longer, but they're going to have to face the dreaded green flag pit stop. So that's going to be a deal here, because I'm going to say this, and if there's some drivers that are listening, they're going to be like, that's a good point. I know they talked about it, but I don't know if everybody got the memo. Do they have to use the access road? Well, the answer to that question is no. Yet I did see drivers, using the access road for pits, and that really slows you down. I think everybody has it figured out now, but, it's green flag pit stops are always my favorite part of the race.
Yeah, they are definitely my favorite part as well, because you get to see the strategy, you get to see execution. I mean, one of your favorite sayings, every broadcast I do, I usually say the same thing that you always say that you're kind of known for. I say, one of my good friends always says, you race for show, you pit for dough. And I tell you, it's so true. It's so true. These guys are, this is a tough track, I think, to pit at as well, Big Al, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be the tail of the tape. That's what it's going to come down to, because if you can manage your car, if you can maintain and handle it and get yourself to a point where you're still within that lead pack, nail your pit stop, I think you might actually be able to have a little bit of a namesake in the final conversation. The key is going to be, though, stay out as long as you can. Make it, just try to keep it going in the right direction. That way you can go faster later.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's going to be a big deal. Going faster later, the overcut, if you will, kind of stay out like 5 laps longer than everybody else, and that way you'll have faster lap times at the end of the race. So, of course, lap time fall off is quite substantial here, so I think that's going to be a big deal. Looking at lap times actually on the racetrack right now, Patrick Gitter was about a 10th slower than Shane Parrish last time by, and actually 2/10 slower than Brandon Pasalacqua and Josh Schaffner. So really watch out for Pasalacqua and Schaffner. I think the
Pasalacqua just made a pass on Shane Parrish while you were just actually having that conversation. So Parrish finds himself now in a little bit of a G&G sandwich.
I feel like the 21, the 66, and the 1, of course, the elite drivers, I think they have really good long run pace. I don't think they're so good on the shorter runs. So I think that's why kind of we're seeing that their lap times are not quite as good as like Pasalacqua and Schaffner right now. We'll have to see how that works. Here comes Schaffner right now. He's going to make the pass look easy on Shane Parrish.
Yeah, absolutely. Shane Parrish understands 2 things here tonight, man. That is, hey, look, it's not over yet, and I don't want to be in the same situation I was just a little bit ago. Now, I think he did win stage 2, but he's learned a lot of lessons, and I think he wants to see that checker flag first. So in order to do that, you might find him just backing it up a little bit and getting to a more comfortable race pace for himself.
I tell you, he's running really good. Go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. Gitter now getting around Pasalacqua. Pasalacqua really mixing it up here. He's going to be challenging for the lead. And these guys, I think the G&G guys they're going to treat it like a team effort. You get one guy out there and let him kind of lead the way and try to get Gitter to not be so good, maybe to wear stuff out, maybe to keep him honest. And then you can maybe get another guy that's a little bit later on in the order to kind of come up and challenge and even because I think at this point you're looking for a team win. That's what I'm trying to say.
Oh, yeah, I think so for sure. I mean, you see Pasalacqua, I think he's definitely going to have something here. He's getting a really good run out of 4, but I was kind of wanting to talk about a little bit about Frank Flores. He's looking incredibly good here tonight. I mean, he's up to 7th. Of course, he is starting to have to battle with J.C. Evans, but just the growth and, that we've seen I'd say, the line graph that we've seen from that driver, with how good he's been doing in his, progress. Man, I tell you, Brandon Pasalacqua was starting to kind of muscle Patrick Gitter around a little bit here. He keeps getting really close to his back bumper, almost bumping him into the corner. And this is a track that you really can push that driver into the corner faster than they want to go.
And I think I think that's important, Brian, because to G&G, and I'm going to speak for the team. I don't care. I'm not a member, all right, but I think for them to be successful this week, they need to have a team win. The team win is the most important thing because they spent so much time collaborating. They're already down 2 members, so that the remaining members they got to bring it home. So I think you're going to use that mentality where you know it's like the way dogs capture hogs. You know what I mean? You got the one dog that goes out there and just kind of runs him, and then you got the dogs that come in for the kill. And I think that's the G&G strategy here tonight.
Yeah, I think that maybe that's what Brandon Pasalakwa's thing is right now, to kind of push Gitter to drive it harder than he really should. And then maybe Schaffner's the one that comes in for the kill, right?
I mean, I'm just saying because everybody here this week has a story. Every team, every car, every driver. And at the end of this thing, you want to have the opportunity to tell your story. And if you can't do that through your teammates, then what's the point, right? Because it's been a journey. When we have these off weeks like this, it always brings out the best in teams. And I think that's what we're looking for here tonight. I think that's what it's going to take to be successful.
I'll tell you what, who's hit the scene and then definitely has hit the ground running here. Charles Joplin here. He's looking really good. Sitting in that 6th place position, not that far back from Matt DeCiani. Taking a look through his cockpit camera here. And one thing I'm noticing looking at this cockpit camera, look how much these guys slow down in the corners at this place. Down to 140 mile an hour. That's not really slow. But you know what I mean? Like, most of the time at a mile and a half, you're able to carry about 170 mile an hour through the corner. But this is not a normal mile and a half.
Not at all. These corners are tight, man. And so you find yourself really kind of rolling through the majority of the corner. And that's what's going to be the fastest guy at the end of this thing. Because it's all about when you can apply power again. You know, it's power management. I mean, what do I know?
I think you're right. This is a track that you really have to be able to get exit speed for the straightaways. I think that's what you kind of are meaning, is about getting the power down at the right point. And, of course, Pasalakwa was almost able to get the power down at the right point to maybe get by Gitter. Oh, he's into the outside wall a little bit there. Let's see what he could do here. He's up on the high side of the track here. And he's going to lose a lot of time to Gitter because of that.
But I think right now his time, I think he did I think he did his team role. I think he pushed Gitter a little bit faster than Gitter might have wanted to run. And Pasalakwa can now fall back here eventually, Brian, and just kind of like run it out until he actually is able to bring it down the pit road.
Yeah, these guys are now 99 laps into this race, almost 100 laps complete here. And definitely has been a long one. These guys have definitely been doing what they got to do, though, right now. I don't think anybody really has been the favorite tonight to win this race. I think a lot of these guys are so close on lap times, which is really interesting to see, just considering. I mean, usually when we go to a track that a lot of these guys are not, that's not on the iRacing schedule, I should say, a lot of times there's a team that's going to really be better than everybody else. But I don't think we've seen that tonight.
DeCiani now making his move around the 66 Shane Parrish. That's going to put Matt DeCiani back up into the 4th place position. And I think right now he is solidifying his role as a lead. Pack now comes around the lap guard. Derek Jacobs. Jacobs struggling this week. He's one of those guys, and you know, we applaud his efforts every week, but he's truly at a disadvantage, Brian, just because he doesn't have a whole lot of people in the room to bounce ideas off of. And that is what you need in a situation like this. So he finds himself out there running on his own, and we're still going to love on him. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. No, I love him. I love that he has the persistence and determination to stay out here and, you know, try to do something and learn, you know.
Look, that is if you're wanting to get in the sim race and you look at a guy like Derek Jacobs and you see all of the obstacles this guy is actually faced with, but yet he's still here every week. Now, Kenny Powell, Brandon Pasalakwa, Patrick Gitter, these guys make it look easy. Josh Schaffner, but the reality of it is, if I were out there, I would struggle to catch Jacobs. So if you're sitting at home and you're like, man, this just looks easy, trust me. Yeah, you ain't no cowboy.
Oh, no,
I'm a
this
cowboy.
ain't easy. I mean, this is not an easy thing to do, just simulator racing, iRacing, if you will. It's not, NASCAR heat, that's for sure. I mean, you jump in this thing, it's pretty much almost identical to real life. The only thing that you don't have to deal with is possibly the heat from being inside the race car and the G-force. But I mean, that's about this is as close as it gets to being a race car driver in real life.
But I imagine though the heat comes like in the kitchen after the race because your wife is sitting there and you've been up here playing video games for the last 2.5 hours, hanging out with Big Al and Brian Britt. She don't want to hear none of your stories.
Yeah, you come downstairs like, I won the race, honey. I don't care. Take out the trash.
Yeah, you're playing a video game. But I was hanging out with Big Al and Brian Britt. Come on, baby.
They shouted me out in the broadcast. Well, get your kids to shout you out when you put them in the bed.
Yeah, put them in the bathtub. Get the kids to bed. La niña están de la cama. Put the kids to bed. Speaking of putting the kids to bed, Patrick Gitter is just doing that, man. He has been running consistently strong, Brian. Been out front in the majority of the contest. And you got to, Gitter's good. Josh Hoffman said that. And we love us Josh Hoffman. He's the Iceman. The Iceman cometh. And right now, Brandon Passalak was starting to fall back just a little bit. But he's still going to be establishing that much-needed draft if these guys are going to have any chance.
Well, look at that. I got a lot of respect for Kenny Powell. He's back on the racetrack. How about that? Look at that. 24's back out there, that Toyota.
And he's rolling.
He's rolling kind of quick. 15 laps down. That's not a lot. I thought he would be a lot more laps down than that.
No, I mean, looks like
fast.
He's keeping good. Yeah, he's fast.
Well, he's probably on newer tires than these guys as well.
And I thought they killed Kenny.
Yeah, I thought they did too. These guys are now 31 laps on their equipment. I'd say in about 15 more laps, I think maybe 20 more laps, these guys are going to start to consider come down pit road. What lap would you come down? Yeah, they're in the window. They're in the window.
And I think it's a team thing at this point. I think that's how you're going to win at this track. I don't think it's an individual effort. So you got to be making strategies. You knew this thing was going to go green. You knew you were going to have to make green flag pit stops. So now I think teams are going to have to start to try to get themselves aligned and really conceal their hand, Brian, because I think you want to stay out as late as you can.
Brian Johnson almost just spun out. Wow.
And that's going to be the key. You might have that late race caution because as these guys experience the degradation of the tire wear, it's just going to be a bigger anomaly for a lot of drivers. You don't know what's going to happen. You don't know when that caution is going to come out again. We've seen it happen at the end of both stages, and that's about this point right now. So I think, maybe
that's a really good point. That's a really good point. At about 35 laps into a run, that's when those cautions seem to have come out. Now, we're entering that unknown zone, right, Big Al? I mean, when it comes to, we don't really know how the cars are going to handle after 35 laps.
Oh, yeah, we do. They're going to go slip, sliding away.
Simon and Garfunkel over here.
Yeah, man, I'm just sorry. I'm just on a roll tonight. I'm feeling so good, Brian. Big Al's has been knocking it out of the park. I know you've had a lot of success here with your newfound religion, but Big Al's just found a newfound look on life. So,
that's good, brother. I'm proud of you. I mean,
I'm grinning.
Hey, grin ear to ear. Feel the joy. That's nothing wrong with that, brother. I mean, and look at that. I'll tell you who's feeling the joy, too. Matt DeCiani. He's looking real good right now. He's starting to put some pressure here on Josh Schaffner. Of course, who's not feeling so good, Brandon Passalacqua, now back to 5th place.
But Brandon did his job. You look at this as like the Tour de Homestead, okay, and he is on the G&G team. So he got up there. He put the necessary pressure on the 21 of Patrick Gitter. He did the best he could for as long as he could. Now these guys just got to try to keep him close. Now, Matt DeCiani, he doesn't sit at the same table as the G&G guy, so it's going to be interesting to see how he interacts with the 50 of Josh Schaffner, the Iceman himself. Also, Shane Parrish, another guy that's not on the same team. So if we've got the makings for a salad here or a soup, but not an entree.
Oh, yeah, this is going to be a good stew they got cooking right now. I'll tell you that, though. DeCiani's kind of helping Schaffner right now in a lot of ways because he's, like, really putting a lot of pressure on Schaffner, but he's pushing him forward. Like, he keeps giving him, like, little bumps in the straightaways.
That's that pressure, right?
And it's helping. I think it's making somewhat of a diamond here for Schaffner because it's helping him get closer to Gitter here. But, I mean, it could be a bad thing later on, though.
Well, I think Schaffner was probably kind of hoping maybe that would have been Wachinski or Powell that was bumping him up here. But, one thing is Powell still seems to be showing pretty good speed, and that might actually be a diamond in the rough for the G&G team. Just suppose maybe later he's on a different pit cycle. He can come out there and actually, put a little undue pressure on the leader, maybe throw a block or whatever, because I think this race is all – I'm going to say it again. I think this race is all about the team aspect. I don't think this is a race that you're going to win as an individual.
Yeah, I think DeCiani's starting to I don't know if he's struggling a little bit here because you see Shane Parrish has come back into the picture. But, no, I think you're right. It could come down to something like that. I think Kenny Powell could possibly get up here and rough up Patrick Gitter a little bit. Maybe not wreck him or anything like that, but just make it a little bit more difficult on him to, not exactly slow him down, but just – and it maybe even be able to push his teammate. Maybe, get behind Josh Schaffner, give him a couple good pushes just to get him along, and maybe even give him a draft or something like that to help him save gas, even something like that.
There's a draft aspect to this entire thing. And Kenny Powell, if you look at him, he's slowly pulling himself up to not just any group of cars, Brian, but the lead pack. And that's a pretty big deal, especially if you're sitting there and you're the 5-0 Josh Schaffner, because now you can look in your rearview mirror and you can see a G&G teammate. That's something that Schaffner hadn't had in a while because Brandon Passalacqua, he's fighting his own demons. I mean, he's going back there. He's going to confession. Him and the Breeze went in the booth. Well, anyway, you know what I mean? So Schaffner is looking for any help that he can get.
Yeah, he definitely is. Tell you what, we've had a lot of drivers today that are really, they've stepped up to the plate. I mean, Randy Belk, Charles Joplin, these guys, we don't see their names ever. And, new to the series, and they're up in the top 10. You love to see that. That is just a fantastic, thing for those guys to be able to be up in the top 10 and beating guys, like Randy Mullins, Scott Naslin, they're doing well. I mean, I'm very impressed to see these guys really able to rise to that occasion. I mean, a lot of times you show up in a new series, you don't know these guys. I mean, it could provoke some anxiety and a little bit of nerves, but looks like they're not like, hey, I'm just going to come out here and perform. I don't care what they think of me. I'm going to take care of business.
Yeah, speaking of taking care of business, man, that's exactly what I think Kenny Powell is doing. And these guys are way a little bit different because Powell's only got 15 laps.
Look at this big run from Schaffner.
Wait, Powell's got 30 laps on his equipment. The other guys have 42. So Powell's faster than these guys just by proxy. And now here comes Josh Schaffner trying to make his move on the inside of Patrick Gitter. We're still too far out to pit right now. They got their longest run yet of the evening. And I'm thinking at any given time, Brian, we're getting ready to see a caution come out.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, especially because you see Patrick Gitter, he's struggling a little bit. I'm seeing him in some of the portions of the track. He gets a little bit of a wiggle to him whenever he's battling with Schaffner here.
Big
watch out for. I'd say a little wiggle. I mean, but still, there's a little wiggle. A lot of times turns into a big wiggle.
Oh, there's that lap traffic right there. That's something else you're gonna have to watch out to.
Oh yeah.
23 car trying to make his dive down pit road. That's a 26 car. Sorry, 26 car. Richard Smith is gonna go ahead and make his green flag pit stop now, as opposed to going a lap down arbitrarily. And that is going to open that. That's going to open our pit window officially.
Yeah, Patrick I think any time now. Yep.
Patrick Gitter now actually able to get a little bit of relief. Shane Parrish battles that Ford Mustang up to second place now. He's going to try to get his shot, but looks like the 5-0 Schaffner is going to be coming down pit road. Got a little bit squirrely there, Brian. Also, the 6 of
Caution is out.
And I do believe that was because of the 5-0. That's what I'm going to
I don't think so. I don't think that had anything to do with Schaffner. Why would
No, he got squirrely there going into pit road. He was sideways. I don't know if that had anything to do with the caution or not.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think that had anything to do with it. I think it might have been maybe the 17.
Okay, there you go.
Let me see, because I don't see why that would have caused the caution. He was just doing a pit stop. Let's see exactly if we can find what happened here. See a lot of smoke.
That's going to change everything, though. That flag waving changes the entire outcome of the race. It negates the need for green flag pit stops. It puts Schaffner at almost of a disadvantage because he'd already kind of committed. So at that point, do you stop or do you come back out to stay on that lap? So a lot of decisions having to be made here, Brian.
Yeah, I don't think the caution came out because of Schaffner. I'm trying to figure out why, because I don't think it was a 17 either. I really am having a hard time finding why this caution came out. This is odd. This is kind of a phantom caution, Big Al.
No, it ain't no such thing as a phantom caution. But with the caution flag coming out and our drivers taking their what would have been green flag pit stops, we're going to go ahead and take a break and get a word from our sponsors here, throw some appreciation to the guys that make all of this possible. We'll be right back.
Hey everybody, my name is Warren Maddox. I am the president of Ultimate Experience Outdoors. Our mission, we are dedicated to taking veterans, first responders, youth, and Gold Star family members on outdoor excursions across the country.
Support for our mission has many forms. From camp cooks to the great storytellers, some buddies with the band, maybe you just want to build a campfire and sit around and listen. Nothing goes unnoticed.
Camaraderie is reborn. The acceptance among the men and women that took an oath.
Whether it was decades ago or recently renewed, but never forgotten.
If you feel like you could help us, please visit our website, www.uxonation.org.
There, you can register to hunt, sign up to sponsor an event, or even donate to us so we can continue to execute our mission.
Oh my gosh, I feel comfortable, bro. We get a hug, man. What have you done, Jim?
We need your help to hold the line once again.
We decided it's time to put a different kind of power tool in your hands. Store Mode in the Home Depot app gives you in-store tools made to help you get more done. To guide you every step of the way and explore products quickly with the scan. That way you get the top brands at the best prices without missing a beat. It's made for doing. Download the Home Depot app and see how doers get more done.
Back.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, as we are calling the Super Cup Series race at Homestead. Of course, the ISCA, I should specify. We had a phantom caution. Of course, not quite sure what caused it. I'm sure we'll get to the bottom of it at some point, maybe be able to learn what happened. But I'll tell you what, it definitely spelled disaster for Josh Schaffner and Brandon Pastelacqua. Both of those drivers are now well outside of the top 10. Pastelacqua is back in 16th. Josh Schaffner is back in 18th. So going from the top 5 all the way back there, that is a good thing, I'd say, for Patrick Gitter and Shane Parrish. They were able to get their pace, their pit stop underneath a yellow flag. But Brian Johnson, this kind of actually helped him out a little bit. He's up to 4th right now.
Schaffner had to actually take the wave around. So here's the deal, Brian, and you're right. This is a very, very unique turn of events. And for those of you that are watching, we just took the perfect salad, threw it out the window, and instead of having leafy greens, we're going to have brown dead things. And what I mean when I say that is there
What
are
do you mean?
44 laps to go when we go green, and we haven't made 44 green laps thus far tonight.
We got close on that last run. We got real close, and
Close don't count. Close doesn't count.
it does seem like when we get to a certain point,
green flag's out. Race is back underway. Patrick Gitter still back up front. Matt DeCiani now coming back in second place. Now drivers definitely going to have to take another look at their hand, Brian. They're going to have to look at it very closely because everything's changed now. Still got another set of tires in the pit. I don't think this thing's going to go green all the way. You just got to make sure that you stay close without burning your stuff up, because if you burn your stuff up and it does go green, you're not going to be the ones we're talking about. The 33 car, Randy Belt, he's making a good charge, finding himself in the top 10. Definitely got to be feeling good about that as he started all the way back in 12.
Yeah, he's looking good. He's in 8th right now. Good story for him as he's going to try to get to the inside of Frank Flores. Of course, another great race from J.C. Evans. You know, he's doing really good. I mean, we've been seeing him a lot of times up in the top 10 here lately. And definitely looking good. He's been, I think, has a lot of growth. Randy Mullins, he was another driver. He was up towards the front earlier in this race. Not at the front anymore, but he is back up into 9th at least. So curious to see if maybe he's been making some adjustments to get that car right. Kevin Zosiak, though, he's up in the top 10 for the first time here in that, I do believe, 17 machine.
And that's the thing that changed this entire race, because now it's not a race of 167 miles. Now it's a race of 40-plus laps. And a lot of drivers can find that elephant a lot more manageable to eat. You know, that big elephant, that's huge, it's heavy. Now guys can all see themselves having a chance at winning this thing, Brian, because literally everybody's still in it. Now, if you look further back in the pack, we still have 17 cars on the lead lap. Out of the 24 cars that started this thing, that's pretty dang impressive.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely is. I mean, very impressive that these guys have been able to stick with it. I mean, even guys that are not on the lead lap, they're still out there trying to make the best of a bad situation for some of the drivers. You know, like Kenny Powell, still out there on the racetrack, you know, trying to do what he can do. I do believe Stephen Thompson trying to make something happen there. He's, I do believe, 13 laps down. But here comes the 33 of Randy Belt. Going to be trying to get something done on Brian Johnson. Johnson's just been, he has not been as good as I expect from, you know, that spiral pipe. You know, usually I expect him to be a lot stronger. And I'm wondering where his brother is, Chris Johnson, as well.
Well, maybe that's just you putting undue pressure on him. I mean, and, you know, maybe he'll pull that out. I think he's going to be just fine. Now, he did find himself burning his equipment up earlier on in the race, Brian. So I think he's learned a lesson from that. I do believe he's just going to try to take it easy, keep the heat out of the tires, keep that thing rotating through the turns, and be available at the end of this thing for his G&G teammates.
Yeah, I mean, he is definitely the one that is kind of carrying, I'd say, carrying on the legacy there of G&G in a lot of ways. I mean, the only one closest to the front right now.
Look at the EPI guys, though. They're definitely doing pretty good here tonight.
Oh, yeah. I mean, look at Randy Mullins. He just went from 8th all the way up to 4th. He's fast. He's definitely got really good short-run pace. But I don't think that's what you want here.
And Mullins has a couple of teammates over there at Mullins Racing. That's Derek Jacobs in the 27, and that's going to be Jeffrey Ford in the 82. Jeffrey Ford, another driver we hadn't talked a lot about tonight, but he is definitely holding his own, Brian. Still on the lead lap.
Yeah, he hasn't had a ton of speed, but yeah, 17th place right now, still on the lead lap. I mean, there's something to be said about that. There's a respect to be had there. Ooh, a little bit of a wiggle there from the 25 of Greg Carr. That's another driver we haven't really talked about But he's up in 12th at the moment as Josh Schaffner's trying to work his way back up to the field. I think he's working on possibly getting back up to the top 10 right now.
You also got to think about Team Birdie Racing. Got to give those guys a shout out as well. Mark Sanchez, Greg Carr, Scott Nashland.
Oh yeah, it's not just G&G and API. There's other teams that are trying to build up their ranks, trying to get to be race winners. That's what they really want, I think, to get that victory, so everybody else will know their names. So we can talk about them a lot more.
Well, I'm saying like Team Birdie right now, they're doing pretty solid as a team though, because if you look at those guys, Alex Carr, Greg Carr is being scored in 13th. Alexander Carr right now is in 16th. You got Mark Sanchez, who is actually running in 10th, and then Scott Nashland, who's actually competing right up there in 14th. So all of those guys on the lead lap as well. These guys all have to be feeling totally good about their chances here tonight, Brian, because every team is really showing out.
Oh, yeah, they're definitely been showing out. I'll tell you who's also showing out, Randy Mullins. He has taken the lead. I am thinking he is, though, going to not stay in the lead. I think he's burning his equipment up here. I think he's kind of taken we've seen this before for him previously, where he's even pulling away from Patrick Gitter right now, and I just don't think that's going to last. I feel like he's going to eventually be losing positions. Oh! Big wiggle there for Kevin Zosiak, as he, I do believe, has just lost it and now falls outside of the top 10.
Yeah, definitely not going to do him any favors on that one.
And here we go. I do believe we're coming up quickly to 30 laps to go. And Scott Naslin, you talked about him. He is now going to be trying to see if he can't get by the 17. These guys are packed in here like sardines. There's not a whole lot of room out here right now.
It's going to start to fan out, because the one thing that we've seen, right now these guys got 15 laps on their equipment. The one thing that I can tell you as an analyst, because that's what I'm listed as, it's going to start to fall apart right about now. Now, guys' equipment's going to be worn out, because as much as you think some of these guys took copious notes, a lot of guys didn't have anything to write it down with. So they're going to learn the same lesson they learned hard in that first stage and in that second stage, and that is they didn't save their tires enough. The guys that did learn, Brian, their best shot at this is trying to distance themselves from the rest of the pack, and hopefully, they'll be able to. Hopefully it'll stay green. I just don't think it will. It's a big enough track that if drivers were to actually lose control, we could not actually see a caution. We've seen that happen already once tonight. But it's right now it's anybody's race as the 66 car of Shane Parrish makes his move around J.C. Evans. And that's going to put Parrish all the way up into the 4th spot again.
Yeah, Parrish just had a really good day, and I think a lot of these guys are starting to get worn out as well. I think this is a physically demanding racetrack. I think a lot of them are starting to get mentally drained. But I'll tell you who's been really cutting his way through the field is Schaffner. Josh Schaffner now up to 6th place. Look at this.
Did you see the 89 take a little bobble wiggle and get into the 29 there? Not going to affect
He wasn't
much
dancing. He wasn't dancing on purpose, I should say.
Yeah, it's almost like he stuck his foot out trying to trip him, but the 29 quickly on his feet, he kept going on around. The 25 car, though, he is definitely, Greg Carr, he is definitely kind of got caught up in a little bit of unfavorable action earlier on this evening. So I think he's going to try to keep his nose clean as well.
Yeah, he definitely is in the battle. He's had to fight for every position he's gotten right now, as here comes the 89 trying to go through the middle line. I think Frank Flores is starting to struggle a little bit. He is going to fall outside of the top 10 here as Brian Johnson tries to work his way up.
What? The struggle bus should not be running this early on in this stage, Brian. I mean, these guys only got 20 laps on their tires. They still have quite a ways to go, almost 30 laps, 27 laps to go to be exact left in this race before it's over. And I tell you, when you add those two numbers together, that's a delta that a lot of these drivers aren't going to be able to conquer.
Tell you what, man, I'm surprised about Josh Schaffner. That man went from 18th all the way up to now 6th. He's right behind J.C. Evans right now. I'd watch out. I think he is bound and determined to make something happen here. Randy Mullins, though, unlikely leader. And he's managing to stay in the lead, too. I think that he's really maintaining that gap and really working that top side. I'm surprised that that's working. We haven't seen a whole lot of guys really running on the top, and it seems like it's working for the 54, though.
You know who's not working for? That's the 6 of Brandon Pasalacqua. He finds himself 1 lap down, and Brian the Herd. Can I do it? Can I do the chugga chugga chugga? I hear that train coming.
How did Pasalacqua go with lap down?
He's a lap down, I do believe, and he is getting ready. I mean, he is the last car. He's the first car that's a lap down, but right behind him is that horde. He has got the leaders to contend with, and without any draft partners in sight, I think Pasalacqua is going to be in for a long, hard fight.
I'm wondering, because, I mean, when we had that caution, we saw Pasalacqua. He was up to he was in 15th, and then Schaffner was in 18th. They had the restart. I'm wondering what happened. We must have missed something.
I'm not a producer, brother. I'm just the analyst. That's a joke.
Yeah, I'm very curious to know what happened there to him.
The 89 car, Charles Joplin, coming down pit road.
Now, this is interesting. Why would you come down?
Well, I think he's looking at it like there's 24 laps to go. If he can get out and gone, which he's not yet, well, there goes that theory. Wow, long pit stop for the 89. Oh, I know why. That's because he has a repairs required flag. That he's not just sitting on pit road because he's bored. He's sitting on pit road because he can't go no more. I know what's wrong with it.
I think he had an accident here. Looking back at it right now, he got loose in 3 and 4. Oh, yeah, that'll do it.
And there's Greg Carr also tangled up in that mess.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, Car magnet. That's what I'm going to start calling Mr. 25 here tonight, because every accident seems to have been attracted to him. He's just having a very long evening. But those pit crew guys, though, keeping that thing hopped up on Bondo and Band-Aids, making it come home here tonight.
Yeah, I'm surprised that happened there. You saw Paul Olsen kind of got into him as well. But yeah, Greg Carr definitely, unfortunately, in the wrong place at the wrong time. But I tell you who's in the right place right now, Patrick Gitter. As we come to now 21 laps to go, he is back in the lead, but he has a little bit of company behind him. The one of Matt DeCiani. And I'll tell you what, DeCiani has been very, very fast here. I would not be surprised to see him possibly try to challenge his teammate. But then again, we've seen this equation before. We've seen Patrick Gitter be in the lead and DeCiani be right behind him, and DeCiani cuts him a break. We've seen that before. I think we're going to see it again tonight. Or is DeCiani tired of finishing second?
As little Al was in third grade, I'm sitting here intent with my hand waving in the air, asking the teacher to please pick me. Brian, pick me. Here's the thing, man. I keep circling back to this one point. We have not yet successfully completed 42 green flag laps. In order for these guys to get this done, this stage in the books, it's going to take it to 46. Brian, I don't think we got it in us. I mean, I think these guys are just sitting there looking at it like it's you're eating a whole cow and it ain't cooked.
Yeah, I think that's pretty tough to do. Eat a whole cow and it ain't cooked. Yeah, I mean, you never know what could happen here. I don't know. I don't want to go either way, because a lot of times I'll think that, oh yeah, they can't make it to the end when it comes to a caution or something like that. That they're going to have a caution. A lot of times I'm wrong.
Well, this is not about fuel, and this is not about anything other than we could run out of talent. We could have technical difficulties, but that's what it's going to come to. They've got everything they need to finish. They just haven't been able to pull it off here tonight. And I'm hoping they can, because One more caution changes the whole thing.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Matt DeCiani, though, he's hoping probably for caution not to come out, as he has just taken a lead from Patrick Gitter. And for the first time, actually, we haven't seen DeCiani up front in the lead all race long. He's starting to pull away from Patrick Gitter here.
I think somebody said that Matt DeCiani was like that one. It's the one spade you couldn't account for. If you you almost got a Boston, you got a 10 for 2. But the one card you can't account for, that's Matt DeCiani tonight. And look at what he's doing right now. He's actually taking the lead. He's got over a half a second advantage on that lead. And Brian, I mean, I don't think he was showing his hand. I think right now he's just going to kind of run away with it and hope that the caution doesn't come out. But we still got a lot of racing left to go. A lot of racing left to go.
No, I think so. I think you were right. You hit the nail right on the head when it comes to DeCiani. I think he had that last hand, that last book, if you will. And, I haven't played spades in a long time, but I know what you're talking about. I think that he definitely's got it. I mean, 0.6 of a second right now. He's got a lead. We just saw Brian Johnson actually make the pass on Randy Belt, and he moves up, I do believe, into 7th place. And now he's going to start challenging J.C. Evans. So it looks like Brian Johnson at just the right time is starting to show his hand as well, showing some speed. I think he might even have the speed to possibly get up to the top 5.
Man, with 15 laps to go and the closure rate being what it is, Matt DeCiani is going to run into Brandon Pasalacqua. I think it's inevitable. So now that's a fast lap card. I don't think he can stave these guys off for the simple fact that there is a draft factor at a track like Miami. Drivers don't get to exploit it a lot just because they're always just trying to find a better lane. Cars don't turn. You could have the same setup, but different drivers view the lanes different ways. So it's hard to kind of stay right up on somebody, consistently throughout turns 1 and 2, and then the same thing through 3 and 4. So we don't really get to see a lot of drafting here, but it definitely is a component, right?
Oh, yeah. This is definitely a draft-style track. I mean, the straightaways here are very long. So, yeah, I definitely think that it's going to be somewhat of a factor. And I don't think DeCiani is out of the woods yet either. I think that Patrick Gitter and Shane Parrish, Parrish has been that guy that has been successful on long runs. We'll have to see, does Gitter or DeCiani actually catch up to that lap car, Brandon Pasalacqua? Could that be a factor? Of course, we do see some battling starting to happen a little bit further back as well. I see Mark Sanchez running at the absolute top of the track. He's trying to catch up there to Randy Belt. Even with Greg Carr's issues that he's had in this race, he's still in 10th. Got to say that's impressive that he has managed to fight his way up to 10th, even after pretty much having contact there with, I do believe, who was that had that issue? The 89 of Charles Joplin, I do believe it was, that had to come down pit road. Oh, the 29 getting really close to the back of Randy Belt. Would not be surprised to see a little bit of contact here. Could this be the site of the caution that you said is going to come out? Matt DeCiani, though, pulling away now to 0.8, almost 0.9 of a second as we come now close to 10 to go. Oh, Sanchez getting incredibly loose out of turn number 2. So he's starting to struggle. You do see a little bit of damage as well on the right front of that 29 machine. Shane Parrish has also made the pass on Patrick Gitter. He moves up into 2nd place. Does he have enough time to catch up to DeCiani, who's almost a second away?
10 laps to go, Brian. This is where the fecal matter impacts are over the oscillating device. This is what's happening right now. It's go time. So whatever plans that you thought you had, now it's time just to put the hammer down and see how far we can push this thing before it vibrates or spins. That's what we're doing right now.
I tell you, you're a wild man, Big Al.
Oh, I've been called worse. So yeah, I appreciate that, boss.
The
Look at
fecal
the
matter and the
25.
oscillating fan. Okay.
No. The fecal matter impacts the rotating oscillating device.
Love it. But yeah, definitely. We're getting close. I think the sands are starting to run out of this hourglass, wouldn't you say? I mean, it's getting closer and closer to the conclusion here. Matt DeCiani at the moment is the favorite, I think, to win this race. But then again, I mean, I would not count out Shane Parrish. He's been closing in a little bit the last couple corners.
And let's talk about Shane Parrish. He is Big Al's #1 all-time pick just because, Brian, he's driving a Ford. You know, I got to always throw homage to Mr. 66 for running the Ford Mustang and the 66 number. I think it's just all synonymous, and we love what he does. We love what he does. We love what he does, and we would love to see it every Thursday night here.
Oh man, we get to see him every Thursday, but do we get to see him at Victory Lane? I think it's the question. He's always been successful on long runs, and I think this is going to be what he's going to need. He's coming up now, I do believe, to 6 laps to go. He's 0.6 back from DeCiani. Is he pushing it? What's going to happen here?
Flagman's been in the booth all night tonight. He has not been able to take a break, Brian. And he's not counting on waving the flag 6 laps from now. I think right now he is really looking. I mean, right now everybody's in fire towers and everything because it's hot at Miami. And I think we're going to be hard-pressed to get this thing done. 6 laps to go, though. Drivers, prove me wrong. Prove to me that we can get this thing in the books here as that lead pack is slowly encroaching upon the 27, the 6, and the 26.
Yeah, we also see the 4 of Brian Johnson. He is now up into 5th place, catching up quickly to Josh Schaffner. Schaffner, of course, who started, I do believe, in 18th in this run, drove his way all the way up to the top 5 in 4th place, but I think he has run out of resources. As you can see, really loose off of turn 2. But I think DeCiani's got it. 5 laps to go. I think a lot has to happen.
33 now, down on the inside of the 25. This battle right here is going to be for what will be 7th place. J.C. Evans also caught up in the mix. There's racing going on all over the racetrack, Brian. I mean, right now we're just looking to figure out where this accident is going to happen.
Yeah, these guys are on old tires right now, very worn out. And if they start to battle each other quite hard, some guy's going to make a mistake. I mean, they're going to get tight. They're going to get loose. It's definitely bound to happen, possibly. But do we make it to the white flag?
You got to put the hammer down now. It's go time. 4 laps to go before we can put this one in the books at 27. And Derek Jacobs finds himself down on pit road. I think he's just going to say, hey, look, I'll take what I got. I don't want to be the guy that caused the accident. Ooh, J.C. Evans gets real tricky there, the 25 and the 33, all mixing it up. These battles are all within the top 10. As a matter of fact, the battle for 7th place is raging.
Oh, yeah, it is definitely raging back here. You see Evans trying to hold him. He's trying to hold him off here. Sanchez coming up on the back of the 33. Here comes the 25. He's going to try to go underneath the 9 here. Sends it in. And Greg Carr, really heck of a move there. Moves up to 7th place. Greg Carr was involved in an accident a little bit ago. And somehow it's back up to 7th. Look at that.
I'll call it 2 to go.
Now, do we make it to the white flag?
Barney the flagman is poised. He is postured and ready to start waving the flag. Which flag will he wave? That's going to be the question. As the 29 is battling against the 9. This is probably the most problematic part on the racetrack right now. The 8's diving in as well underneath the 33. Will they stay clear of each other, Brian? That's the question that we have to answer right now. Martin the flagman going to be within 1 to go as we cross the line here next time by.
White flag is out. Matt DeCiani, 1 lap to go, just a couple corners until he decides it all, and I think he's got it pretty much well in hand. Shane Parrish is over a half a second back from him at the moment. As they come out of turn 4, DeCiani will be your victor here tonight at Homestead Miami Speedway. An unlikely winner here, as I thought Patrick Gitter really had the best chance, but DeCiani had to play his hand at the last moment, and what a victory there for that driver, as he is going to definitely be celebrating this one here tonight. Definitely a well-earned one as well, considering I think that last week at Sonoma, he had the fastest car, but unfortunately, mistakes by him, he let that win get away, Big Al, and this is going to be a bittersweet moment for him, or I should say more sweet than anything, that he was able to get the win here this week.
I wish I could have called it. I wish I could have called it. I mean, I wish I could have seen Matt DeCiani sitting over there with the freaking little joker.
I mean, you did kind of call it. You knew he had a hand.
And I'm telling you, I knew he had a spade, right? And I'm telling you, people thought, well, maybe he's a low spade. But yeah, it was.
He had the ace of spades.
Yeah, he had the joker that he needed to get it done. Congratulations to him and that team. Matt DeCiani, your winner. Shane Parrish coming home in P2. Patrick Gitter bringing it home in P3. That's your podium, ladies and gentlemen. Brian Johnson, 4. Josh Hoffner, 5th. Greg Carr, 6. Brandy Mullins coming across in 7th. Mark Sanchez in 8th. Randy Belk in 9th. Frank Flores, 10th. J.C. Evans in 11th. And Scott Nassman rounds out the top 12.
Yeah, of course, if this thing will cooperate with me, come on. It's not listening to me here.
Alexander Carr in 13th. Kevin Zosiak in the 14th. Paul Osen, 15th. Jeffrey Ford, 16th. Ryan Strunk, 17th. 18th place is Brandon Pasalacqua. 19th place is going to be Richard Smith, the second. Derek Jacobs rounds out the top 20th for Stephen Thompson. Kenny Powell in 22nd. Charles Joplin, 23rd. And Greg Wachinski rounds out your 24. Carr Field, thank you for watching. We will take a brief step away, get a word from our sponsors, and we'll be back with your Pros Race Show.
Hey everybody, my name is Warren Maddox. I am the president of Ultimate Experience Outdoors. Our mission, we are dedicated to taking veterans, first responders, youth, and Gold Star family members on outdoor excursions across the country.
Support for our mission has many forms, from camp cooks to the great storytellers, some buddies with the band, maybe you just want to build a campfire and sit around and listen. Nothing goes unnoticed.
Camaraderie is reborn. The acceptance among the men and women that took an oath.
Whether it was decades ago or recently renewed, but never forgotten.
If you feel like you could help us, please visit our website, www.uxonation.org.
There, you can register to hunt, sign up to sponsor an event, or even donate to us so we can continue to execute our mission.
Oh my gosh, I feel comfortable, bro. We get a hug, right? What have you done, Jim?
We need your help to hold the line once again.
We decided it's time to put a different kind of power tool in your hands. Store Mode in the Home Depot app gives you in-store tools made to help you get more done. To guide you every step of the way and explore products quickly with the scan. That way you get the top brands at the best prices without missing a beat. It's made for doing. Download the Home Depot app and see how doers get more done.
And we are back, ladies and gentlemen. Of course, we're going to be talking with our top 3 finishers here into the race at Homestead here. Of course, starting out with Patrick Gitter, our the 21 driver. Uh, Patrick, you were kind of the favorite, I think, to win this race. You've been the favorite, I think, in every race we've seen here in ISCA competition. What happened there? Matt DeCiani and Shane Parrish seemed like they had the better cars at the end. Did you overdrive? What's going on there?
Yeah, I think early run on that last green flag. Well, after the pit cycles, I guess we had that caution. We restarted. Josh Schaffner was so fast the whole race. I mean, he was up there with us competing early on, and um, he got the short end of the stick. When the caution came out, he had just pitted, so he started the back, and I was thinking, man, we got to keep a decent pace here on the early run so that he doesn't get back up super quick. So I ran a little bit quicker pace than I wanted as a result. And then, Matt and Shane did an awesome job just kind of holding pace, being smart. So it was kind of a combination of things. I think Matt made a really good call on pit road, changed a few things that worked out for him, and Shane's been just awesome long run all season long. So I'm just glad that it was a good team effort, and it worked out for the guys tonight.
Yeah, it definitely seemed like it worked out. I mean, a 1, 2, 3, I do believe, for EPI. So definitely another one to really put down in the history books for you guys for sure. I mean, what was the challenge today of kind of coming to a track that is not on the A Open schedule? I know you guys have had that before, but did you use kind of the same resources today to kind of get ready for this?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, a lot of it, we kind of leaned on the guys at Team Conti to give us, some initial feedback, something to work with, and then Matt. I mean, Matt is incredibly knowledgeable on sets and adjustments, and there were a few of us that were kind of tinkering with it through the week, and so it was just really a big team effort. Um, so we just appreciate those guys, and it is. You're right. I mean, it's a challenge to come to a track where it's off schedule, and it kind of puts everybody on an even playing field. I mean, it's unexpected. Everybody's going to kind of start from scratch, and um, that was an interesting challenge. And a track here too. I mean, it was interesting in these cars. I haven't run here in a while in the next gen, so it was almost one lane. It was hard to pass, and I felt like it gave a great show, aggressive driving. It was a lot of fun.
No, I definitely put on a great show for us here. We saw a lot of side by side action. Saw fall off as well. I mean, it looked like it was going to come down to green flag pit stops, but unfortunately, it did. It did for some. It definitely hurt like a guy like Josh Schaffner. But of course, you guys stayed out a little bit longer. I mean, tire wear, was that a big deal? Clean air. It seemed like because I know you seemed like you were desperate to try to keep clean air.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, clean air is big, and then if you're the car out front, you're kind of at the mercy at your own pace. I mean, tracks, the ovals in this car, it's all about the pace. I mean, all it takes is a half a tenth or a tenth here and there every lap that guys behind you are saving to make it up in the long run. And I think that was part of it tonight, but at least we were able to keep some pace up front, and play some leapfrog, to get to keep our guys up there. So just a shout out to the guys at EPI. I mean, I really enjoy running with these guys, and shout out to Team Conti. They helped us out this week. Martin PC and C12 Designs for the paint I was running tonight, and just want to shout out you guys as well for the broadcast. You guys did an awesome job with it, and it just makes this league a lot of fun to run. And shout out to Kenny for putting it all together.
All right, well, definitely skipping steps over here, getting right to the shout-outs. I mean, what do you think about Nashville Super Speedway coming up next week?
I Nashville is interesting. I've run it, I don't know, once or twice. I'm gonna have to go back into the record books to relearn how to run that track. But I mean, Nashville is interesting. I feel like you're off the throttle for so long at Nashville. You've got to be even more patient with throttle than you are here at Homestead. So I think it'll be another tire saving race, pace, tire wear management. Um, I mean, probably kind of a similar setup to what we saw tonight.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a lot of one groove. I mean, that's a tough track and a lot of tire wear, so we'll have to see how that works out. But thanks for your time, Patrick. We'll see you next week, brother.
10-4. Yep. Appreciate it, guys. Thank you.
Alrighty, that was Patrick Gitter, driver of the 21 machine EPI. Of course, next up we'll talk to Shane Parrish. Big Al standing by.
Shane Parrish, my hero, the legend, the greatest. Look, dude, I have a life-size cutout of you on my wall, right? Shane Parrish for president. Congratulations on the second place finish.
I feel good about that, Big Al, but there's a lot of other drivers out there. They're definitely a lot faster than me. But, got a shout out to Matt on that win, man. He was so fast at the end. I was doing everything I had to try to figure out how to get to him. I knocked it down, halfway. Knocked down about 4 or 5 tenths and got up there, but just couldn't do it. He was just super fast, super smooth. So congratulations to him and Patrick for running us clean, letting me go there at the end when I needed to get going, and it was a lot of fun. Well, I was your hero tonight, but I had the Chevy painted, ready to put it on because almost everybody in EPI runs Chevy, but I said I just can't let Big Al down.
Man, you're one of the few Mustangs that I got out there, Bubba, and I'm just saying I appreciate you for staying true to the game. And I'm going to tell you, you had a fast car tonight, and you did showed tremendous pace. You're our biggest mover. You started this thing all the way back in 16th place, and actually able to bring it home in P2. So you got to feel pretty good about that as well, right?
I do. I just really messed up qualifying on both coming out of four, got loose and just messed up both corners. The rest of the laps were just done at that point. So I knew I was going to be way back there in the back. Didn't know how far, but wasn't worried about it. Just really ran the first 35 pretty hard. Got it really loose there at the end. Burnt the tire off the right rear, but I knew I had 35 laps to try to get up and got to sixth, and then just tried to be patient. If I'd have been a little more patient there at the last caution we went through and got tires and then came out when that run with Matt there. I think if I'd have been a little more patient and let the guys behind me drive me a little bit harder than I wanted to run, I may have had a chance to get at him, but I got to say enough to him again. Congratulations, Matt. Great win.
So speaking of that, how much does track position matter? And I know everybody's out there wanting to run their own strategy, but when you got cars around you that are pushing you to go a little faster than you want, is it easier to kind of get out of the way, or do you really get caught up in the moment?
Depends on the track, and honestly, this track though, that's why I drove a little bit harder because once the tires kind of wear down and get on an even playing field, it's even harder to get around them, and you'll use even more tire. So I really didn't want to drop back any further than what I was. Being there in fifth, I said, I can't do anymore. Just got to stay here and go. And I did. I mean, I still kept up. Had a great car at the end. Try to manage my tires well. I feel I do getting better and better, and can't thank enough Michael Conti and all the guys at EPI. And I had a practice session with him last night, so that helped me get where I was because I was gone for 2 weeks and actually bought a '07 Mustang Celine. Got blue color, and I only got made 18 that year, so I was really happy to finally find the one that I wanted.
Man, pretty excited for you just because I'm a Ford guy too. I got a 66 in the garage. Love your number 66. Love the fact that you got one. The team aspect, running, working together, collaboration. This track next week we're headed to Nashville Super Speedway. Now that Super Speedway runs a little bit different than this. What can we expect to see from you guys next week?
I know the other guys are going to be really good. Matt and Patrick, I know they'll be really good. There'll be other guys in here as well. They're going to be really good. They're very fast. So I can't say I've never turned a lap there. So I'm on new territory. I'm going to try to get a training section in with Michael, hopefully here on Saturday at some point if we can make it happen. If not, I'm on my own and we'll just see. But again, I want to thank Patrick and Matt both. They helped me out a lot. Ran a much different line than what I practiced last night, so it took a little bit to get used to that. But we're going to give it all next week. I guarantee you that.
All right, before we let you go, who you shouting out for your second place finish here tonight?
I just really want to thank Mr. Conti and EPI and all the guys. Matt, Patrick, they're just a lot of fun to race with, and everybody in here. Some guys had some unfortunate things happen. Everybody's really pretty clean, a lot of fun to race around, good long runs. Kenny, you do a great job with the league, man. Keep it up. It's an awesome place to be, and I'm glad I'm here. I'm going to stay here.
All right. Appreciate you, sir, and good luck and congratulations. Like I always say, don't party too hard.
Oh, no, and you guys up there in the booth, keep up the great job. Love being on the interview with y'all, and just love listening to you. It's a lot of fun.
Alrighty, that was Shane Parrish, our second place finisher, and I'm telling you, one of these days, that man's going to find his way to victory lane. I just don't know when. I thought it could have been tonight, but unfortunately it was not. Of course, who we do have in victory lane is the one of Matt DeCiani. Of course, no stranger to being up here in the top spot, but unfortunately, I think that this is probably a little bit of a recovery, don't you think, Matt DeCiani? Just a redemption, I should say, considering the massive mistake you made last week, right?
Yeah, I should have 2 in a row, but hey, things happen. But yeah, I'm glad I got this one.
Yeah, definitely for sure. It seemed like you had the speed at just the right time, and Big Al even kind of called it out. He even said he was like, I think this guy's got a hand. He's gonna have that spade in his hand there. Like we're playing a game of spades or something like that. And you definitely seemed like you had the ace of spades there towards the end, able to get the dub. What all went into that? Is this a track that you're historically good at?
Yeah, Big Al was onto something there. I kind of figured some stuff out in the first and second stage, and I really didn't show what I had, but I did make a small adjustment on that last pit stop, and yeah, it was just a rocket shift. But yeah, I mean, going into this race, it's just about finding the pace to have the speed at the end of the run, and that's kind of just what mainly went into it. I mean, we basically took a setup from last season and tweaked a few things on it, but we had a really good baseline. But yeah, I mean, I'm typically good here, but I'm not good at saving tires that well. Like, there's other guys in here that do a way better job at saving tires than I do, but for some reason today it just kind of worked out where I was actually able to execute and actually have the speed at the end of the run. So it's nice to actually put a full race together for once.
Yeah, you definitely seem like you had the speed there towards the end too. I mean, your fastest lap was a 33.512. Your last lap after a 45 lap run was a 34.1. So I mean, that was only about 6 or so tenths slower than your best lap of the entire race, which that's pretty good statistic right there because everybody else is falling off about a second. So you really definitely seemed like you had something for these guys out there, and I'm sure you were glad to be back in victory lane. I know you guys said that you kind of adjusted on a baseline from last week. How many laps did y'all think you turned to prepare for this race?
I don't know, 150, 180 maybe. I don't know. Typically just doing 30 lap runs, finding pace, front end, back end, seeing what's, the optimized speed to run. But yeah, probably 150 and 180.
Well, that's interesting. That doesn't sound like a whole lot, to be honest with you, compared to this being a 167 lap race. But it seemed like it definitely worked out for you. Of course, this being an off the schedule kind of race, we're going to be back on the schedule next week. Nashville Super Speedway. That's a tough track right there. Very hard on the tires. You talk about you not being so good at tire wear management. Do you think that's going to be a problem next week?
Oh, it'll definitely be a problem next week. I got a feeling if people don't take care of the right front, they might blow right fronts next week. I don't know though, because we've had this update and we haven't. Cause, I mean, Nashville's, in my opinion, a short track. It's heavy braking on both ends. So we'll see. But if it was anything like last season's tire model, I got a feeling right fronts could be an issue.
Yeah, I mean, I almost feel like they made that track out of instead of cement. I think they used seashells. Because they burn. You burn up some tires at that place. It's very rough. It definitely strips the tires off. So yeah, could even possibly see someone blow a right front, and that could be a catastrophic wreck for sure. But at least going into next week, you have a win under your belt here. So definitely great job to you, DeCiani. Who could we give a shout out to after your big victory here tonight?
Yeah, thanks for you guys for calling the race. Thanks for Kenny for putting on the league. Shout out to Shane and Patrick. Got another EPI 123. I really thought Shane was gonna get me there. I thought I pushed a little too hard and he's starting to come, but I maintained it. But yeah, he's gonna win one of these days. He's so good on the long run, and I actually picked him to win today. I thought for sure with this track that he was gonna be the car to beat. But yeah, then shout out to EPI like always. Fantastic to be driving for them.
All right. Well, thanks for your time, Matt, and look forward to seeing you next week. And I'm sure we'll get to talk to you again very soon.
All right, thanks, guys.
Alrighty, that was Matt DeCiani, driver of the one machine, and finished in the first position as well. So double ones there for Matt DeCiani. Definitely a great job to him here tonight. Great job to Shane Parrish, Patrick Gitter as well. Huge moment there for EPI, getting a 1, 2, 3. Of course, Brian Johnson, very good recovery for him, finishing up in fourth. Also, Josh Schaffner, to be able to finish in fifth after on that last caution, having to restart in 18th. Wow, definitely a really good recovery. A lot of fast cars tonight, but unfortunately, the ones that came and were able to go that whole 15 rounds, Big Al, were EPI. I mean, what are your final thoughts here tonight?
Perfect. The race and the events were perfect.
Oh, here we go again. Yeah, okay. Very much agree. That is definitely a interesting. It was perfect, I'll say. I won't say it exactly how you say it, but definitely was a great race here for sure. These guys rose to the occasion. I think that is the best way to put it. That these guys, shockingly, coming into a race that no one really was prepared for. This was not a race that these guys had the opportunity to race NIS or a Open to prepare for, and they still hit the ground running. I mean, and were able to really get good finishes. We saw a bunch of new drivers as well this week. Kevin Zosiak. We saw, Randy Belk, Stephen Thompson, Charles Joplin. All kinds of new drivers that hit the grid for the first time tonight. Hopefully, we'll see them back in action for sure. But definitely congratulations to the guys that finished in the top 10. And, of course, to Matt DeCiani, able to get the victory here tonight. Of course, as we mentioned before, next week is going to be Nashville Super Speedway. Make sure you tune in around 9:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time is when the actual stream will go live. The race itself will go green flag a little after 9:30. So make sure you tune in there for sure. Going to be an interesting race there at that place that burns up tires quite a bit. Also, I wouldn't mind getting some more information at some point. If I can actually pull you, Kenny Powell, and talk to you for just a second. I know you have some interesting things that are going on outside of the ISCA with some leagues. Do you mind telling us a little bit more about that?
Sure. Yeah, recently we starting to expand a little bit to a couple different things. Unfortunately, our Saturday league dwindled in attendance, so decided to stop that. But as a result of that, turned that into 2 new leagues that I'm going to start. One of them's on Tuesday night, called the Manifold Series, and that series runs the same time frames: 8:30 practice, 9:30 race. But we're going to race the trucks, the Xfinity, and the Cup cars. We're going to do a random draw, figure out what car we're going to race, and also with the track, we're doing random track draws of all the tracks that NASCAR goes to now and in the past. That random draw is done right before, about 2 hours before the race, and so that's a good, interesting series that we're promoting now on Tuesday nights. And then I also get a lot of requests to run this league, but I am a little scrutinized a little bit on who does come in here. I like these long green flags that we run. So some people don't qualify. And with that, I'm starting the Ignition Series, ISCA Ignition Series. And that's going to be for all the guys that don't qualify for this race. It runs actually simultaneously with this race in a different session. And so if you've seen their races, you've seen their qualifications, and you haven't qualified to get in this league, you're definitely welcome to run that other one. Compete against other development drivers, and then once you get your feet wet and your skills up, then hopefully maybe jump into this league. So look out for all the new things here at the ISCA.
Yeah, I appreciate you expounding on that. I didn't want to try to speak on something I didn't really know that much about, so I definitely appreciate it. And if you are interested, definitely reach out to Kenny Powell. I'm sure he can get you plugged in where you need to be for sure. Definitely that Tuesday race sounds very interesting. I wish I can compete in that if I wasn't calling another race. But definitely appreciate everybody out there tuning in. Make sure, as I said before, tune in next Thursday. We'll be at Nashville Super Speedway. With that, I do believe that draws us to the conclusion here. Thank you to Big Al for always making these races fun to call for sure. Thanks to Kenny Powell for having the league at all to where we have some fun things to do on Thursday night. We appreciate everybody out there tuning in. You could do anything else with your Thursday night, but you chose to spend it with us, and it means a lot. And once again, congratulations to Matt DeCiani. We'll see you next time, ladies and gentlemen.